And with that being said, let us go ahead and begin. So good evening, everyone. The time is now 7 minutes after 7 o'clock, and welcome to our first meeting of 2021 of Community Board 12 and our general board meeting. Most of you know who I am. I am Dr. Michael Burke, and I am the chair of Community Board 12. And again, I would like to thank each and every one of you who are watching us on BronxNet, as well as the community for coming to this meeting. Let me be one of the last to wish you a happy new year. You know, I think that we're here at the 28th day of the year, and I think we're all hoping that at some point this pandemic will be over and we will meet again soon. And so I think on behalf of myself and the board members, I know that we all hope that to be the case. But in the meantime, I want to wish you a happy new year nonetheless, and all of the pain and agony that we suffered in the year 2020, that it will be coming to an end in 2021. We have quite a bit to get to this evening, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So next, I would like for us to please say the Pledge of Allegiance, and so I'm going to lead us off. And if you would just say it, amongst ourselves, we will say the Pledge of Allegiance. And so we'll say, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So again, thank you everybody for attending. And next is, I always like to open our meetings with a word of blessing and prayer. And with that being said, I see my good friend, Mr. Reed, who actually was excellent at our land use committee meeting on Tuesday. So Anthony, if you would just unmute yourself and just lead us in a word of prayer to begin the meeting, I would appreciate it.
Father God, I thank you, O Lord, just for today. Thank you for the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad, O God. We pray for all those that may be sick. We pray for all of those that might be in a fear, oh God. We ask that you strengthen everybody through this process, that you bring us all together as one. And I bless you for all of those that can make it to this meeting, those that couldn't, oh God. We pray for their strength. We also, God, we ask you to just keep us together as one, strengthen each other, bless each other, and cover us, Lord. In Jesus' name, in Jesus' blood, amen, amen, amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. That was board member Anthony Reed. So as I said, thank you very much for that. That was very prayer that, we definitely need in these times. So we have a new president. We have a new president. We have, President Biden, and we have a new Vice President Harris. And I think the one thing that I'm proud to say, of course, is that, she is a proud HBCU graduate. Even though she went to the other HU, that's okay. And of course, my friend and homeboy, U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock, who before he moved to Caton Homes lived literally right across the street from me. He's a proud Morehouse man. And so in honor of Vice President Harris and my homeboy, U.S. Senator Raphael Warnock, I'm rocking my HBCU gear this month. So of course, as you know, I'm a proud graduate of Hampton University. And on our board, we have HBCU graduates as well. Mrs. Lucille Martin is a graduate of Hampton, and Mr. Clinton Mike, who of course, he went to that school on the other side of the bay, but nonetheless, he went to Norfolk State. So nonetheless, those are the board members that I'm aware of that are HBCU graduates. And so if you're an HBCU graduates, then shout out to all of us. Because clearly, although we may go on, as my president, Dr. Harvey, said when I graduated eons ago, no matter what schools you may go to once you leave here, you will always make certain that you represent your HBCU well. And I think that, we've done that, and I'm sure that Lucille and Norbert and several others can say that. So that's what I'm wearing tonight. So at this moment, we have our public session, which is open. And so let me just explain the rules of the public session. So this is, of course, where we, the board members, get to hear from you, the community. So anything that you want to talk about, feel free to let us know what's on your mind. If there's an issue that's going on with your property or your neighbors, if there's an issue that you need help with, and of course you have our district manager, Mr. Torres, and our community associate, Ms. Green, as well as members of the committee that may be able to help you. Please let us know what your concerns are. The caveat is, of course, is that you will have 3 minutes to say what you need to say to the board. After those 3 minutes, if you're not done, unfortunately, I will have to mute you because we have a number of things that we need to get to this evening. So today we're going to do something a little bit different because I think I've heard all of my board members, as well as some from the community, that said that the last meeting was way too long, and I would have to agree with you on that. And tonight, my job is to get done with all of our business efficiently and expediently. So I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Nicole Weir because she's going to help me out with this. And so, Nicole, I'm going to ask that you unmute yourself and tell the community how this is going to work this evening for Community Speaks.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Like Dr. Burke said, my name is Nicole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop a link in the chat. This is going to be the link for Community Speaks. It's going to be a Google Docs form that you'll click the link. You'll be able to put your name, your organization's name and information in. And we are going to go based off of who clicks and puts it in order. So that link will be open for, I'm not sure how long Dr. Burke is going to keep it open, but it'll be open and then it'll close whatever time Dr. Burke decides that he wants to close it. And then once we close it, then we'll be able to start the Community Speaks, and we'll go based on the point of when people signed up on the list.
Dr. Burke, are we on the air?
I can hear.
Okay, no, I don't hear nobody. No,
Dr. Burke, you're mute. Your mic is on.
Okay. Something's going on with my microphone. Can you take over? That's ridiculous. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay. So everybody can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, I apologize. As I said, my computer was just doing its own thing. So anyway, so we have our instructions from Mrs. Weir, right? So if you're going to speak, then please go ahead and sign in. Also, she gave you the instruction for the elected officials too. So please let's get this done so that we can go in. So Nicole, do we have our first?
I didn't do the elected officials yet. So the elected
Yeah,
officials,
okay.
I'm gonna drop that link right now as well. So anybody from any elected official office, the link that I'm going to paste in 60 seconds will be for you. You can click that link and sign in, and then have instructions there as well. And then we'll have that generated list, and we'll go. And once that list is generated, then that'll be open for the whole night. But Community Speaks will close it at what time, Dr. Burke?
Community Speaks, we're gonna close that. Well, we said 7:20, but let's make that 7:30.
Okay, so the Community Speaks link will be open until 7:30. So click the link. If you can't find the link, just write in the chat which one is the Community Speaks link, and I'll repost it.
Okay. So what I need to do right now is because some people have their mics open and they should be closed. So what I'm going to do is mute everybody. And Nicole, I'm going to ask you to tell me if we've got anybody that is first up.
We have Mary O'Shaughnessy. She's a homeowner in the district.
Okay, so Ms. O'Shea, welcome to Community Board 12, and feel free to get started. Your 3 minutes starts right now. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for your service to the community. I have been on a community board in my old neighborhood, and I know the amount of work it is. So God bless you all. My question is about the community board website. I have been looking at it to see about updated minutes and community events and such. And I understand that it's hard to keep stuff up. Is there a website that I should be looking at that other than the one on the New York City government? I'm interested in knowing more about what the board does, and I'd like to do it without bothering Mr. Torres. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. So like I said, right now, our website is, okay, what is going on with my video? Okay. You can hear me. Can you see me? Okay, my computer is gone bonkers today. Okay, okay, and I should have been in off. Can you see me still? Yes, no?
I can't see you, and you don't
Can't-
seem to be bonkers.
Okay, great. Okay. Like I said, my computer is possessed today, so I apologize to everyone out here. So to make a long story short, right now we're under audit. So what that means is that our website is being audited. I will admit that it is grossly inadequate right now. And again, I apologize for that. But what's going to happen is that we are actually fixing that right now as we speak. So my suggestion to you is that if you are familiar with our district manager, Mr. Torres, if you're familiar with Ms. Green, our community associate, that they can get the information to you that you seek until, of course, we update our website. And I'm sure our district manager is going to be speaking to that, I think, this evening. And so, yeah, he's going to speak to that. So that'll hopefully answer your question. So if you want to stay tuned till he gives his report, then he may be able to provide you with an answer. Okay?
Much appreciated. Thank you very much.
You're very, very welcome. Who's next, Nicole?
Ayala Bullock.
Okay.
Sorry if I butchered your name.
Okay.
It's okay, no worries. It's Ayana, but thanks for the effort. I appreciate it. So greetings, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you all tonight. I am a homeowner and community resident, and just wanted to offer a question in hopes of resolution. So if you guys are aware of the TI storage facility off the New England Thruway, if we come from that direction and take the side road, service road, New England Thruway south, there's a service road that runs the length, and then before you hop on the highway south heading toward exit 12, you can come up Given Avenue and hit basically like Baychester Avenue. I'm not sure if you guys understand the area in general I'm talking about, but Given Avenue is a very, very consistent dump site. It really, I think, devalues the homes in the area. It also is a sanitation issue, also a quality of life issue. If you're jogging or trying to walk, you really can't do it safely in that area because of the trash situation. There also, if anyone drives that area, you can often see what looks to be abandoned vehicles over there, kind of like dumped and then they're moved. So that entire area is just really an issue for residents. I happen to live in that general area and I'm there often. And I'm just wondering if there's, a committee to bring that up to, or how we might go about engaging sanitation to do something about it, or, what options may be available for us to improve that particular part of the neighborhood.
Okay. So, Ms. Bullock, that's an excellent question. And so one of the things that, we are addressing is there is a committee that handles that. They haven't been as active as I would like. And so that's one of the things that we're going to be addressing within the coming months is committee reassignments. And so, but there is a committee that deals with those issues. I don't know if anyone from sanitation is on our board meeting tonight. So I'm looking at, we have 68 participants. If not, then what we can do is, like I said, between you, myself, and the district manager, we can, address it and make certain that we're addressing that issue. But as far as the committee that handles that, there are probably going to be some, changes going forward so that we can, get that and handle that internally. But I will refer you to the district manager and or Ms. How am I drawing a blank? Ms. Green, who can probably help you address that. And hopefully together we can come up with a solution. But I have it written down, and I see Councilman Raleigh is on the call, so I'm sure he's got it written down. And so between all of us, we will settle that and get that taken care of for you.
Ayanna, he wrote in the chat, so I don't know if you can see the chat, but he did respond in the chat.
I can. I appreciate it, Sydney. Sydney clarified that. That's exactly the area I'm talking about, Given Avenue, Boiler Avenue. Sydney, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but any additional information would probably be helpful. I apologize if I didn't give good clarity in terms of where I was referring to.
Well, and I do see where the councilman did respond, so that's fantastic. So we appreciate him. That's right. Thank you, Ms. Bullock, and thank you, Councilman Raleigh. So, Nicole, who do we have next?
We only had those two people thus far, but I'm going to drop the link one more time for the next 7 minutes for anyone who didn't see it before, just to join the meeting.
Okay. Well, if that is it, then we'll give them some more time. But what I will then do is I'm going to open it up for our elected officials to speak, because we have a number of them here. And if anybody else from the community would like to speak, then we'll circle back to them. So I'm going to move the agenda and ask for our elected officials. So do we have, outside of Councilman Raleigh, I see Assemblyman Denowitz is here as well. So I don't know if anybody from Congressman Bowman's office is here. But if not, I'm going to open the floor up to our new Councilman Raleigh. And I'm glad to say that I'm glad that he's here, because, of course, I give him a hard time, even though he's not wearing that red tonight, which is good. But, I want to say that, with Councilman Raleigh, I'm very glad that he's here to address us. I've had a number of conversations with him, since him being sworn into office, and I'm sure that district manager can say so as well. And he's very, very attentive to our needs. And so, Councilman Raleigh, I'm happy to welcome you to your first meeting of Community Board 12 as our new councilman. So please unmute yourself and address us, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say.
Thank you, Dr. Burke, and good evening, community. I miss you all so much. We usually will be around each other, but due to this pandemic, unfortunately, we can't. I'm Councilmember Riley, newly elected, just got sworn in on January 6th, and I'm looking forward to working and partnering with the community board in order to do so. I have been so gracious enough to be a part of a lot of committees that could definitely address some of the issues in our community, especially being the chair of under the land use committee as the chair of the subcommittee on landmarks, public siting and dispositions. So I'm really going to be utilizing my position to definitely advocate for the community. I've been doing that so far, as Dr. Burke just stated. There's an as of right hotel that was built on Boston Road. And right now we're trying to pass something in city council that will make sure that hotels need a special permit in order to be built inside the community. And Dr. Burke was so gracious enough last week to make a public statement on the hearing on that issue. And that's just kind of the work that we're going to be doing moving forward. And I really do appreciate it. And to Ms. Bullock, I'll definitely add that area to the agenda. We were able to get sanitation to clean up Given Avenue right behind Pear Tree. And then next week, they're going to go right and clean up the New England Three-Way. So that's what we're focused on right now. But we're going to be given that target location also. But I'll be here for the duration of the meeting. I'm just going to be listening, taking down notes, and seeing how I could address some of these positions. So thank you, Dr. Burke. Thank you, George. Thank you, Ursula, for all the hard work that you're doing in our community. Thank you, board members. Thank you, community, for being so patient and resilient during this pandemic. I'm looking forward to working with you all. We have a lot of great things coming up. The governor just stated that he's going to be, I've been begging for a vaccination center in our district, so it looks like we're going to be getting one very soon. So that's a big plus. And starting next week, starting every Friday, starting in February, myself alongside the other elected officials that represent this community will be hosting PPE giveaways throughout the entire district, giving out masks, face shields, hand sanitizers. And we're also going to be having a mobile COVID-19 truck, COVID testing truck that's going to be coming around the district also. So we're really trying to impact and bring down this COVID-19 pandemic. But I'm really looking forward to working with you all, and thank you for this opportunity to speak with you all today. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Councilman Raleigh. For the record, does anybody, if they don't have your information, where could they reach you?
I'm going to put all that in the chat.
Okay, great,
Yeah.
great. Thank you, Councilman Raleigh. Thank you very, very much. Okay. Next up, we have a guest councilman who is here visiting us. I don't know if anybody's in from his office yet, but Councilman Fernando Cabrera, I believe, is here. Someone from his office, I believe, wanted to come in and speak to us around this time. So is someone from Councilman Cabrera's office here?
Yes. Good evening. My name is Russell Cheek. I am representing Councilman Fernando Cabrera. And I want to first and foremost thank you for the opportunity to speak at your CV meeting. The councilman wanted to come on himself, but he asked me to just give some basic information about what he's been doing as it relates to resolutions. I know that he wanted to come on and speak to all the CVs throughout the Bronx as it related to budget information, so I'll leave that to him because that's beyond my purview. So just to be very brief, the councilman has submitted a resolution calling for the governor to allow New York City to make independent decisions on eligibility, vaccinations, distribution in the 5 boroughs. Several weeks ago, the governor abruptly changed the course to allow New York City to begin administering the COVID-19 vaccine to Group 1B, which is inclusive to the teachers, first responders, grocery and other essential workers, and people aged 75 and older. In addition to 1A, after it became necessary to dispose of unused vaccines reserved for 1A individuals. This resolution would grant the authority for the city to determine when to allow the next eligible group to begin receiving vaccinations based on data and availability and demand. So that's the most pertinent piece of what he has been working on, which he wanted me to share throughout. And just to be able to say that if there's unused vaccinations, that determination of the usage and administering should be determined by the boroughs in themselves. Any other information as it relates to budget and the like would be shared by the councilman himself. I want to thank you all for the opportunity to speak and participate. Congratulations to Councilman Kevin Riley. Very proud of you, and much success in your endeavor as the new councilman for the district. And again, thank you all for allowing me to participate.
Okay, thank you. Please send our regards to Councilman Cabrera, and we look forward to hearing from him because, quite a, like I say, he always gives us very useful and pertinent information as it pertains to, budgets and community boards and his activism for community boards. So please give him our well wishes. Nicole, question, are there any more city elected officials? I mean, I know that I'm going to the state elected officials next, but I see Alfredo shaking his head yes. So is anybody else, Nicole?
Yeah, yes. We have Julia from New York City Council District 11 and Angela from Senator, that's
right. That's the state.
Yeah.
So we got the state next.
Alexis from the Bronx Borough President's Office and
Right.
Erica from the District Attorney's Office. And
Right.
then
Okay.
Assembly Member Jeffrey Dinowitz.
Right. Okay. So we're going to go with.
I'm sorry, Dr. Burke. Council Member Vanessa Gibson is online too. I'm sorry.
Okay. So Councilmember Gibson. Okay. So Councilmember Gibson, welcome to Community Board 12.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Doctor. Good evening. My good friend, Mr. Torres, District Manager, Board Chair, CB12. Good evening to each and every one of you, to the executive team, to all of the members, to my new colleague, Councilmember Kevin Riley. I love saying that. I'm looking forward to working with you this year, and to all of my colleagues in government. Thank you for the opportunity to greet all of you. I am Councilmember Vanessa Gibson. I am your neighbor down in District 16 in the Concourse High Bridge, Mount Eden Morris Heights area. And I just wanted to come on tonight to introduce myself and certainly pray each and every one of you are healthy and safe during this time as we begin this new year. We look forward to a better year for all of us. 2020 and the pandemic that has hit this country has certainly reminded us that every day is precious. We've lost far too many neighbors, family members, and friends to COVID. Unfortunately, the Bronx has the highest death rate to COVID. And we have to remind ourselves that the deaths of those that we've lost cannot and should not be in vain. And so our work must continue. And I'm grateful to join all of you just to provide a couple of updates as Councilmember Riley and Councilmember Cabrera talked about. We are starting the budget process for the city of New York. The fiscal year begins July 1, FY 2022. And we encourage any not-for-profits, 501c3s to apply to your local council member or members for any funding opportunities that you would like to be considered for. We've been funding organizations that provide services for children, families, seniors, veterans, after school, cultural programs, adult literacy, everything you can think of. And this year will be no exception. The application process is online. So if you need any assistance, you may call our office at 718-588-7500. Option 0. We are working remotely as many offices currently are. And certainly the Department of Health and H&H have been doing a great job around COVID-19. It's been a challenge getting a lot of the testing sites last year, but now we're at a time when we have a number of testing sites at parks, urgent care, City MD, our hospitals, H&H, Gotham. All of the different sites have actively been involved. And while the vaccine is here, I know all of you at CB12 will understand it's important to ensure that the vaccine does hit the communities hardest hit by COVID. We have to make sure there's equity for those that are 65 and older with underlying health conditions in the 1B eligibility category. We have sites that are going to be providing vaccines. All of the sites are appointment only. There is a city and a state COVID-19 hotline that you can call to get your appointment. I also want to mention legislation that the council's been working on around universal right to counsel, supporting tenants facing eviction, commercial tenants as well that have been harassed by property owners, really trying to stabilize the industry, understanding the moratorium that's in place through the next several months will be lifted, and we do anticipate a number of families that will be facing eviction. So we have to provide the support, the legal representation that is necessary to keep those families in their homes. The last thing I want to say, the lien sale is something I know many people care about with the high rates of potential loss of property of homeowners and property owners in New York City, particularly homeowners and property owners of color. We passed a bill this day to provide $1 million of funding for local community groups to help us as we prepare for a lien sale. Now, there was a lot of concern about it, but we've been able to put a lot of protections in to really support homeowners and property owners that fall behind in property taxes. We have not given any relief on property taxes, unfortunately, but we are doing a significant amount of outreach so that if anyone is falling behind, there are programs that will help. And so we want to be of service to all of you. So I thank you, CB12, for your time. I'll leave my info in the chat. And again, please stay safe. I pray that all of you have a wonderful, prosperous new year. And I look forward to working with all of you, the leaders of CB12, community members, and all of the elected officials and community partners. God bless you all. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Councilmember Gibson. Thank you so much for coming and giving us those wonderful greetings. And as I said, on behalf of the community and the community board, we do look forward to working with you. If you need anything from us, feel free to reach out to my district manager. Feel free to reach out to me, our community associate, and of course, you know our wonderful Councilman Raleigh. So all of us will be more than happy to work with you. So thank you.
Thank you. God bless.
Again. So I do see Councilman Cabrera. I thought I saw him pop up. So Councilman Cabrera, are you still there? Yes.
I'm here for the councilman. He is
okay. I thought I saw the councilman because I see him on my screen.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Councilman Cabrera.
Good evening, everyone. I'm having a problem. May I get out of, I'm having a problem here. Can I get out and come back in?
Yes, because I can. That'll allow me to go because I'm going to the state officials next, and so I want to hear from Assemblyman Denowitz, and I know that Senator Biaggi is here, and so I can speak with Assemblyman Denowitz and Senator Biaggi, and then come back to you, Councilman. Is that okay?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Great.
Just to
So,
put you on
Assemblyman
alert.
Denowitz, how are you doing? Happy New Year to you.
Okay. Am I on?
You are on. Happy New Year to you,
Okay.
Assemblyman.
Happy New Year. It's still January. We can say Happy New Year. I'm having a little trouble. Every month I have trouble with this WebEx. You gotta switch to Zoom. But okay. Hello, everybody. I'm just going to report on a few things. I know there's a lot of speakers, so I am really going to make it relatively quick. One, we had a mobile COVID testing van the other week in Woodlawn on Van Cortlandt Park East. We had about 150 people a day show up. And of course, we continue to have the testing at Town Hall. So lots of people being tested in the community, which is very good news. I'm just going to report on a couple of things, though. On December 28th, we passed legislation that I authored called the COVID-19 Emergency Eviction and Foreclosure Prevention Act of 2020. And what this law does is it delays until May 1st any mass evictions against tenants suffering from financial or health hardships. It prevents mass residential mortgage foreclosures for homeowners and very small landlords suffering a financial hardship. And it prevents tax foreclosure and tax lien sales for people who've already fallen behind and are now suffering a financial hardship. And it also prevents discrimination in credit reporting for people who've suffered such hardships. So what we have done is we have prevented probably tens of thousands of people from being evicted during the winter, during this COVID crisis, at least until May 1st. And we've also protected homeowners, because just as tenants have problems, homeowners could have the same problems with their own mortgages, or they may be a two-family homeowner and their tenant isn't, can't pay the rent. So we're trying to protect people to keep their property and to keep them home. We don't want people out on the street during this horrible pandemic that's taking place. And we also passed this week legislation similar to this law to protect all business owners. I think you all have seen that a lot of the stores in our neighborhood, restaurants, all kinds of stores are struggling. We don't want people to go under because of this. And so we're awaiting a huge influx of money from the federal government, as well as action we hope to take in the state to hopefully make people who have lots of money pay more, pay their fair share. So I think we've accomplished a lot in just a few weeks, and we just have to get through this. I don't know if you all realize, because they don't always do the comparison, but in less than a year, more people have died from COVID-19 in the United States than died in battle in all of World War II for the United States. Think about that. Over 400,000 people have died since last year, and it's less than a year. And in all of World War II, we've already surpassed that number. So the magnitude of what's happened is incomprehensible. So at least we're trying to make sure that people aren't thrown out onto the streets, made homeless. We want to keep people alive. And ultimately, these bills were more about health than anything else. And the other thing I want to say is I want to welcome Kevin Riley. He's our new councilman. I know he is going to do a great job. He's hit the ground running, and I look forward to working with him. Thank you very much for giving me a few minutes to speak.
Well, thank you, Assemblyman Denowitz. I do just have one follow-up question. I know you and I and Councilman Cohen have, along with our district manager, we were working on 4747. If you've noticed, I don't know about you, but I haven't heard anything about that in quite some time. Have you had any follow-up with DHS regarding 4747, or do they think that we forgot?
Well, if they think we forgot, I don't forget anything.
Neither do I.
And you don't either. The last meeting, maybe the last two meetings that we were supposed to have, they canceled.
Right.
So I haven't heard anything since the beginning of the year, but I guess we need to follow up because maybe they're hoping to run out the clock. But what concerns me is that, they say this is temporary, and maybe it is temporary. Not that I believe anything that we're told anymore, but the virus, if you asked a year ago, oh, this will be over, maybe by May we'll be okay. Now they're talking we're going to still be dealing with this past the summer, even if most of us are vaccinated, and I sure hope everybody gets vaccinated as soon as they can get a shot. This is going to go on for a long time, I think, certainly for most of this year. And that, of course, gives the city the ability to say, well, they have to stay there. And I understand, these are human beings and we want the best for them, but ultimately we want the best for the community as well.
Yes.
But we haven't heard of any change since the last time we spoke.
So I think Assemblyman Dinowitz, you and myself, and I think in Senator Bailey, I guess we probably need to follow up with that to make certain that we hear something from them, because as you said, they've canceled a meeting this month. They canceled a meeting for December, and I know my second vice chair, Mr. Isaac, was on the last call on our behalf, and
Right.
pretty much it was the same old, same old. So we've got to see what we can do about that.
Yes, I agree. I look forward to working with you on that, and we got to address it, no question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Assemblyman Dinowitz.
Thank you.
And I would like to now hear from your colleague, Senator Biaggi, and I know someone from her office is here. Normally, Andy Lobb is a person that is representing the senator, but I think it's somebody different this month. So
Hi.
that is.
Yes, this is Angela Conley from Senator Biaggi's office. I'm actually covering for Andy tonight. Unfortunately, he has a family obligation and he couldn't make it. So I am covering for him tonight and very excited to be here with you. I want to thank you for your time. I'm actually a new member of the Senator's team. So I'm really excited to get to know you all and your community and to really get a good grasp on the issues that are on your minds so that we can work together going forward. So just a few things to bring up. I know some of the other electeds have mentioned, obviously the vaccine rollout is on the forefront of our minds. I know that our office is in constant contact with the governor and the mayor's office as well, to the governor in particular, to kind of put the pressure on and make sure that we are getting as much information as we can to give to all of you. So we will continue to put the pressure on, and as the numbers come in, I know there were a number of deliveries being anticipated to be delivered to the state. So the hope is that going forward in the next few weeks, those that have their appointments can keep their appointments, that there are no more cancellations, and that we can continue moving forward to distribute this vaccine to the community. And at the same time, I'm so glad a number of other people have mentioned the COVID testing sites, which are still so important, as I'm sure you all know, as we wait for the vaccine rollout to encourage people in the community to continue to get tested. I know there were a number of sites in the community that, mobile testing sites that were a great success. We were really happy to be a part of that with a number of other electeds. And we are taking any suggestions that you have. You all know your community, places within the community that will be of the most access to people, will get the most traffic on the ground. So any suggestions that you have on that front, I am all ears, and I will elevate that to the senator. And on the legislative front, just a few things to mention with regard to small businesses. The senator and the Senate Democratic majority passed a COVID-19 emergency Protect Our Small Business Act last week, which protects restaurants from third-party delivery fees. It implements third-party restaurant posting requirements, promotes a shared work eligibility program, freezes unemployment insurance rates, and establishes a partial unemployment system. So going forward, those are all things that we will be working on and putting more information out there to you here at the community board to make sure that people in the community hear it and know about it. We have the PPP loans as well for small business owners who qualify and who have qualified in the past. And our office is ready and willing to help anyone who needs help with that, to get all that paperwork in line and in place. And I did want to flag one event that we're having with the New York City Comptroller's Office next week on Wednesday, February 3rd at 6 p.m. The Senator Biaggi, is joining the Comptroller in a virtual town hall for those in the district to kind of learn about what our offices are doing in response to the pandemic, a little more of the details about that. And obviously, if there are any questions that anyone has, that's a place to ask them as well. So I will put that information in the chat, and I will also share my contact information. I just want to emphasize that I am always available, always willing to talk with anyone about anything. I really want to meet you all, virtually now, but to be able to talk through these issues and get to work and do some good things. So thank you again for all of your time, and I will put my information in the chat.
Well, thank you, Ms. Conley. So first of all, welcome to the team on behalf of the residents of Community Board 12, and we look forward to working with you as well as Mr. Lobb and the Senator. As I said, please give her our well wishes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. So Councilman Cabrera, you are back, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Thank you so much to the chair, to the executive board, to the members at large. Thank you for your service. I'm a former community board member, and so I always appreciate the work that you do. I chair the Government Operations Committee, and the reason I'm here tonight is not to give you a report that your council member would give. You have a tremendous council member, new council member, and of course your state elected officials. But I'm bringing something very specific. I mean, that is that the city, 3 years in a row, I was able to move an initiative to the council that enable every community board to have $42,500. That's a significant amount of money in light of the fact that our community boards were being cheated out. And we see every other agency, every other institution, except the grassroots, the power to the people, community boards that were literally being robbed of the funding. So we work very hard, and I led that march to be able to get that funding. Last June, we lost it. I tried my very best, but under the circumstances that we were dealing with the pandemic and the budget, we lost that. But this is where it gets very shocking and baffles me, that the city now wants to, for this fiscal year 21, they want to take away $3,628 from your budget. And here's where it gets worse. Next year, for the next budget year, starting this July, we're talking about fiscal year 22, we're talking about $8,153. Now, if you put all that together, you're talking about $42,500 plus what I just mentioned. That's 20% of the budget. Now, something has to give. It's either salaries, or it's going to have to be rent. It's going to have to be something will have to eventually give. And they're taking the little crumbs that they have given us, and they're saying to you and to every community board in the city, well, you got this little bit, and we're going to take it away from you. And so I'm asking you tonight that if you will be so kind and so bold to write a letter to the administration and to OMB asking them to take a step back and stop this, to be honest with you, nonsense that is going on. And you're not alone. I'm reaching out to all the community boards in the Bronx. We already got Brooklyn on board, Queens, all the community boards are being activated, and they need to hear the voice of the people. So whether it's a letter or a resolution, I would really appreciate it, because enough is enough, and this definitely should not be going on. So I want to thank you to the chair for your leadership. I want to thank the community board for your service, and let's get back to really what belongs to us, and not allow the city to do this. Really, it baffles me that it's even going on.
Councilman Cabrera, my district manager would like to say something, please.
Please.
Thank you, Councilmember Cabrera. You are absolutely correct. I had a question because we did reach out to Community Board 12, and I was going to speak to this in our report, my report tonight. Do we have any faith that the monies will be restored going forward? Well, not restored, I should say. We're scheduled to take a $3,800 cut in fiscal year 2022. So the budget coming up in July 20. When we spoke to OMB, they wanted to know if we were able to prepay our cut, which we could have done. We did not choose to do that as a community board. But do you, and the reason I chose not to do it was because I was like, why would I pay $11,000 in this budget when the council might restore it? What is your expectation of the council? Do you think that they're going to restore that $3,800 cut?
Really, this budget comes not from the council, but it comes from the mayor. And so we have to push back on the mayor. Now, we're gonna exert all the power that we have, and the speaker will be engaged and use the leverage of the speaker's office. But I'll be honest with you, I don't know. It all depends if we're going to get federal aid. I'm anticipating that we are in March, but how much? And also, and I have to be honest with you, I'm very concerned about what the state is going to do to us. They might throw us an $8 billion little ticket that says you got to pay for this now. And that would throw the city into, let me tell you, we're in a really bad situation. Next 4 years, we have an average of $4 billion gap. And so, but I will tell you this, I do have hope, and let me tell you why. We pushed back on summer youth employment. This year, the mayor didn't even dare to touch that. It was like a non-starter, and he knew we were going to push back. So what we need to do is, if we have all 51 community boards screaming and saying, we're not going to tolerate this, enough is enough. As a matter of fact, you should be having a race. I mean, you've been without a raise for years. I mean, that's just been the reality. How are we going to retain good workers in our office? You know, I have workers in my office. I wanted to pay them well if I'm going to have quality. So we'll push. The more letters, the more resolutions we come up with, the more ammunition you give me to be able to go in there and to get this money back, which at the end of the day, for the community board, is significant. For the city, is pennies.
Well, Councilman Cabrera, you have an ally in Community Board 12. I think the one thing that we recognize is that, and again, my first vice chair and I have been talking about this quite frequently, is that, you know, you have been an advocate for us. And when I say us, I'm talking about all community boards, but, you know, the fact that you've come here on more than one occasion, the fact that you're here tonight is significant. And so, you know, you have my word that, you know, you will get a letter from Community Board 12 here in the Bronx, you know, to go to you and your ask. And as I said, so I'm certain that between the district manager, the first vice chair, and the second vice chair, now we will come up with something and, you know, get it to you, you know, as soon as you can. Is there a deadline that you need that by?
The sooner the better, because the sooner I get it, the quicker I could start making moves and have a sit down with OMB, have a sit down with the mayor's people, and just be able to make a case that this is not one or two community boards that are complaining about this. These are all 51 community boards. And look, I was part of the community board, and I know and I appreciate really the volunteer work that you're doing. I mean, the members here, you don't get paid for this. But you hear all the complaints, you hear all the heartache of the community, especially during the pandemic. This is the part that, I lost my mom this year to COVID-19. It was the most painful day of my life. And so many of us in the Bronx have gone through so much. And nobody's closer to the ground than community boards. Nobody could tell me otherwise. No elected official could say they're closer. This is really, that it doesn't get more grassroots than community board. And so to take away the little bit that we have here, it's a shame. So thank you. Thank you so much for your work. Thank you for your leadership.
Well, thank you, Councilman Cabrera. And on behalf of the board and the residents and constituents of Community Board 12, we extend our condolences to you in the loss of your mother. I know that, some of my board members, in fact, were afflicted with COVID. And in fact, I know some of my board members are, dealing with COVID related issues right now. So I think, we all know someone who's been touched by this insidious virus. And, I think we're all hoping and praying that with new leadership in the country that this virus becomes mitigated and hopefully we can get back to some semblance of normal by hopefully the end of the third quarter of this year. Hopefully, we keep our, hands closed in prayer. So thank you, Councilman Cabrera.
Thank you so much. My prayers are with you. Thank you.
You got it. I think Mr. Tavares is here from the DA's office, right?
Yes, hi. Sorry.
Hi.
Sorry. I don't know what's wrong with this. Do you hear?
That's okay. Everybody's having issues this evening. So welcome, Marilex.
Hello, my name is Marilex from the Bronx District Attorney's Office. I'm here also with my colleague, Miss Erica Diaz. I'm sorry. I don't know why is this flickering. Do you hear me?
No, we can hear you just fine.
Oh, okay. Sorry. As of right now, the only update that I can provide you with is that our district attorney has a educational program called the Concept Program that has gone virtual for any students or parents that are looking to seek more information on internet safety, cyberbullying, gang awareness, substance abuse, goal settings. We target kids between grades 5th grade up until high school, and we have the adult component as well to also educate the parents as well. So anyone that's interested in knowing more about this program, I put my information down in the chat. Please feel free to contact me. We attend, well, we don't attend now because we're virtual, but anyone that's interested within the community, whether it's a community center, whether it's a school, whether it's a program, a camp, whatever, we facilitate in those settings. So please feel free to contact me or contact my colleague, Ms. Erica Diaz. If anyone has any questions relating my office, our office, you can send me a private message. You can ask me now, or you can put it in the group chat and I'll answer them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Tavares. By the way, how's your baby doing?
He's doing very well. Actually,
okay.
I gotta keep muting it because he keeps crying.
Well, that's okay. As I said, most of us here are parents, and we understand how it is. So congratulations again. And as I said, anything we can do for DA Clark, just let us know. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on, I saw Julia Danielowski here. Now I know that she was working for former Councilman Cohen, and of course I know that there's a special election which I'm going to talk about a little bit later on. But as Mr. Danielowski, since you're here, I don't know if you want to give greetings right quick before I go back to Community Speaks.
Yes, hi, Dr. Burke. Thank you so much. I just wanted to say that although we don't have a council member anymore, our constituent services team is still working very hard to make sure that we don't have any lapse in service and that we're still available for all of your regular constituent needs and concerns. And as well, I just wanted to mention that we are advocating for more testing sites and as well as eventually vaccine sites in Wakefield and Woodlawn, which I know has been a problem. And we've had, people reach out and we hear you and we're working on that to make sure that when there are more doses of the vaccine that we can open additional sites to make it more accessible for everybody. I'm going to drop our information and my information as well in the chat. So please feel free to reach out and I hope everybody had a wonderful new year.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Danielowski. We really appreciate hearing from you and the fact that you're still engaged with us. And I would imagine in the next month and a half, we're going to have another new councilman. So we look forward to welcoming either him or her to Community Board 12. Okay, thank you. Nicole, do we have any more elected officials, or I think we're done, correct?
Yeah, I think that is all for elected officials. And the last community speak individual we have is Margie T. Gonzalez.
Okay, so Ms. Gonzalez, welcome to Community Board 12. As you know, you have 3 minutes, and so your 3 minutes begin right now. Ms. Gonzalez, going once, going twice. Okay, so with no Ms. Gonzalez, what we're going to do is we're going to close community speaks, and we're also done with our elected officials. And so now comes the time in the agenda where we hear from the one and only Ms. Alexis Ruiz. But before we do that, I want to thank Ms. Nicole Weir. And I want to thank Nicole because she's really had a fantastic idea after the last meeting in which she thought would help to make this go faster. And I will say that, in my opinion, it did go smoother. We're done with all of our elected officials, and we've had guest elected officials in, and we're still moving right along. So I want to say thank you to you, Ms. Weir, and I'm sure the board thanks you as well. And so, again, I look forward to receiving training from you in the not too distant future. So again, thank you. So, Ms. Ruiz, you are up. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Dr. Burke. Happy New Year, Community Board 12. I hope that everyone is staying safe and doing well during this time. The latest Borough President report has been emailed. If anyone has not received it, I will place the link in the chat. Just a few reminders. So the due date for reappointment applications and new applications is February 5th. Also, 2 things for my new members. Please return your EEO certification form once you have signed, as well as the meeting attendance form, which is located at the end of the application. If you could please self-certify and send that to me via email, I can confirm your attendance with the board directly. So just please return these forms to me by email and then send the original by regular mail. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to contact me at the email or number that I will list in the chat. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Alexis. And please give the borough president our best. We were on we had a meeting with the deputy borough president this morning, the district manager and I, and we had a very good meeting. It was actually very quick as well. So thank you, and send our regards to Mr. Diaz.
No problem.
So we're now at the point of the meeting where, of course, it's time for the chairperson's report. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully we get this right this time. And again, so for those board members, you should have it already, because I know that Ms. Green sent it out to the entire body. So most of the board members, as well as the community, should have my report. So for those that don't, for those that are watching on BronxNet, you do not have it. So what I'm going to try to do is put it on the screen, hopefully, and it will come up. And if it does not, then I'm just going to go ahead and read it because I don't want to take all day. So, all right, so this is not what I want to share. All right, what I do want to share is this. Okay, so hopefully everybody can see my report. And so I'm going to pretty much skip the good majority of it because most of you can read it, but it's pretty extensive, covering from the last time we met up until today. So I am going to just highlight a couple of things. So on January the 8th, myself, along with the district manager, Mr. Torres, Ursula, and Carl Lanzano, who of course is our Health and Human Services Chair, we had a meeting with the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene in which Ms. Anna Schatz was the presenter. Now, what she did was she presented information about the vaccine, which you've heard everybody talk about the vaccines. So for those of you that have my report, and that's the good majority of you, if you click on these links or go to any of these links, you have a hyperlink that you can click on, and you can find out about the vaccines. I'm moving slow for those that may be watching on TV that are trying to capture this information. I will stop right here. If those of you cannot capture the information, and if you need assistance with appointments, then you're free to call the number 833-307-1678, and they will help you as it pertains to getting the vaccine. So that number again is 833-307-1678. And again, so that is for the vaccine rollout, which is taking place here in New York City. And again, you've heard our elected officials talk about their methodologies for getting more vaccine to us. So we deeply appreciate that. As everybody knows by now, Community Board 12 is a vaccine testing site, which of course has been utilized heavily. I was in the office on Tuesday with Ursula and our district manager, and quite frankly, it was very heavily utilized, as well as yesterday when I was in the office as well. Even though the weather was pretty nasty, there were quite a few people that came through and that came through in the office. So, excuse me, not the office, that came through and got tested at the testing site. So again, please continue to use this testing sites. And for the vaccines, please look at the information that is in my report. I'm only going to talk about, well, actually, Councilman Raleigh talked about this, and oh, I forgot one other thing too. So I also need to tell you that the testing will be extended until the month of August, right? So if you need to get tested at the community board is open from now until August. We obviously thought we would have it back this month, but that's not going to happen due to the rise in the vaccine. And now with the variants coming in, as many of you know, viruses have a tendency to mutate because they want to survive. That's the nature of the mRNA that is in their sequence. So we are dealing with that right now. So you're more than welcome to continue to get tested up until August the 31st. The time is from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., 7 days of the week, except for holidays at Community Board 12, which is located at 4101 White Plains Road. I'm going to skip 12 because Councilman Raleigh has already told you that I was there. So I'm going to skip 12 and I'm going to go straight to 13. So, which of course is the last part of my report. So today, as I said before, the district manager and I was at the joint meeting of the Bronx Borough Board and the Bronx Borough Cabinet meeting. So we did vote on the text amendment for zoning for the coastal flood resiliency. Board members, if you remember back in November of last year, we voted in the affirmative for this proposal, and it came through the Land Use Committee, and we voted for that. So I took that vote and then went today to the Borough Board and voted in the affirmative based on your vote last November. So I thank you for that. The second item on that particular agenda of note was, of course, a presentation from the New York City Campaign Finance Board as it pertains to ranked choice voting. Now, I was going to actually put those slides on the screen, but Ursula was nice enough to send the slides out to the entire body. So not only do you board members have these slides, but the community at large who is on this call and others have access to these slides as well, thanks to Ursula Green. So I want to thank the heart and soul of our community board for that, getting that out to the body. So I'm not going to put the slides on the screen. I will comment that the first test of ranked choice voting actually takes place within the confines of Community Board 12, in that, as you've heard from Ms. Danielowski, former Councilman Cohen is no longer in his seat. And so there are several candidates running to replace him. And so in District 11, so we will take part in that, Council District 11 that is, which is within the confines of Community Board 12. We will have a part in that particular election, as well as Council District 15, which of course is former Councilman Torres's old council seat, but as you now know, he's gone on to be a representative for the in the House of Representatives. So that was pretty much it. And the only other item that was at the district's cabinet meeting today was, of course, an item as it pertains to the budget. And so, like I said, a couple of people came forward from that, and I do know that Ursula sent out a notice to board members to see if you wanted to participate in that. And if you did, of course, then of course your questions were answered. I'm also looking in the chat, and I'm seeing where Councilman Raleigh has stated that he's hosting a ranked choice voting forum in February, and will promote this as well. So again, once you can see this in the chat as well. Once his details are finalized, he will present that. I'm also going to say that we also have at our next community board meeting, our district manager was nice enough to have somebody come in and present to us as well. So outside of Councilman Raleigh's event, if you do not attend his event, of course, we at the community board will be having the same presentation on ranked choice voting at the February 25th meeting. So again, that closes my report. And again, I thank you. And now I turn this over to our district manager.
Hey, hold on one sec. I'll read it very quickly. Good evening, board members. Happy Thursday and Happy New Year. January places us at the halfway mark of the city's fiscal year. I'm going to be very brief. I've shared my thoughts on issues in committee. There are some votes that you will be taking this evening, and I hope you are mindful of the impact on the community. As you're aware, the city is in the midst of a fiscal crisis. Councilmember Cabrera spoke a little bit to it. All city agencies were asked to cut from their budgets, and community boards have not been spared. When the pandemic began, I reported that our budget took a cut of $4,000 in our fiscal 2020 budget. We absorbed another $8,700 budget cut when fiscal year 2020 began in July of 2020. We were recently notified of an additional budget cut of $3,600 for the remainder of this year. There is another cut that will be forthcoming of $8,000 and $8,153 for fiscal year 2022, which begins in July 2021. If you're keeping tabs, that's $24,493 over the course of 3 fiscal years for community boards. Now, all is not lost. This is an election year, and there have been a number of conversations with district managers across the city on how to best mitigate these cuts. One of those conversations involves the money that is unspent by community boards. Every community board gets the same budget, so all 59 community boards across the city have the same budget. Every year, some boards do not spend that money. You've heard me say in the past that we, Board 12, were giving back thousands of dollars to OMB. Since my arrival, we have worked very diligently to stop that practice. That is why we started renovating our space and upgrading our technology. Despite these cuts, Community Board 12 has been able to continue without making cuts that would severely impact service delivery. There are challenges for sure, since we are not in the office, but that has nothing to do with money. We are working with Stewart on upgrading our website. So Mary spoke about this earlier. We have implemented some things, but I hope by next week we will have more content to share. I'd like to announce this evening that Community Board 12 now has a YouTube channel. The YouTube channel name is Community Board 12 The Bronx, or Community Board 12, The Bronx. We have parked all of our recordings of committee meetings and full board meetings. this content is available right now. So you can go to the YouTube channel and see all of this information. I do have to create playlists. I was unfamiliar of how to categorize it, but I watched the video and it said I could create playlists. So we will have a playlist for full board meetings and parks or whatever committee meeting we want. We will begin to use this service to live stream our content as well. One of the challenges with Facebook Live, which we're currently on right now, is that not everyone has a Facebook account. We live stream via our partnership with BronxNet. This provides our residents yet another way to participate in our meeting. I'm still looking at other social media services that we can join, like Slacker, to see what works best for us. One of the things I'm looking to implement is putting the WebEx participation information on our website in the calendar. Right now, our calendar is just a notice of when the meetings take place. I think our chairman briefly shared what the calendar looks like. So, for example, the first week of the month, these meetings take place. That's how it's stated. I'd like to do a little more. I'd like to introduce a more interactive feature. I'd like to put up a virtual calendar of the month with dates that have hyperlinks to the meetings that are occurring that month. This would require advanced planning on our part as a board. I think we can achieve this change, but it will require everyone's work, or it will require work on everyone's part to ensure its viability. Finally, I want to speak to something Ursula and I have discussed in the past about how to improve our meetings. We're working to provide training sessions on various topics that we suggest all board members take. The first will be this Tuesday, February 16th at 7 p.m. at our next executive board meeting. We will be meeting with Kristen O'Neill from the Committee on Open Government, and the subject will be the Open Meetings Law. This training covers the state law that governs how our meetings should be conducted. I hope every board member can attend. Please note that every meeting we have in the community board is open to all board members and the general public. No one can be excluded from attending any meetings we host. There will be more trainings in the near future, and hopefully this will make us a better board and help us run our meetings more efficiently. And in conclusion, today marks my 2005th day as your district manager, or 5 years, 5 months, and 25th day of my tenure here. I look forward to each and every day at the board. Thank you for your patience, and good night.
Thank you so much, George. We really appreciate your report because you always give good information, and I think the one thing that you said that is so true, and I'll try not to be verbose, is that we can all learn from each other, and I think that outreach is critical, and so your approach to outreach has been great, and I know that one of our new members, Sydney, has been working. We're trying to get outreach, and we've been working to get that as well. So I think if we can collaborate with her, and I think we could reach even more people. So I really want to thank you for your efforts, and Ursula as well, because I know Ursula is, of course, we all know, is a yeoman's in regards to getting out to all of us board members in the community at large. And so I want to say thank you. So next, we're moving right along, which is great. And so I'm hoping that we can be done depending on how we get through with the voting items. But the next thing we need to do is we need to take a look at the minutes from the last meeting. And so what I'm going to do now, so hopefully all of you have a copy of the, okay, my computer is being funky again. Hopefully all of you have a copy of the minutes is what I am looking at. You should have received a copy of the minutes at the last meeting, but I'm going to try to see if I can share for those that do not have a copy of the minutes. I'm going to try to see if I can post it. However, if my computer does what it has been doing and has a mind of its own, then I'm going to have to abandon that. And I'm looking right now, and my computer is still having, okay, here it is right here, okay. So again, I want to share this not for the people who have access to it, but for the people who don't have access to it, all right? So for those that are not in the community or do not have access to it. So these are the minutes from the November 19th meeting. So if you would, please take a look to review the minutes and to see if there are any corrections that need to be made. And so I'm just going to go through this so that those that are in the community that don't have access to it, and I know I'm going kind of quickly, but I'm hoping that you could speed read. And let me just go through it a little bit quicker here. And so again, it just illustrates everything that has taken place at the meeting from last month. Okay. So with that being said, as I'm moving forward, I need a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting last month.
Ivan Boris, making a motion to approve the minutes for last month.
Is there a second?
Harry Singh, second.
So the motion has been moved and properly seconded. We accept the minutes from the meeting last month. Is there any unreadiness? Call for the vote. Madam Secretary, you call the roll.
Hussein Abdul. Hussein Ali.
Or here.
Franklin Alapo. Franklin Alapo. Judith Benitez, aye. Jerry Bennett. Aye. Sydney Blair. Sydney Blair. Sydney Blair. I thought she was here.
Yeah, I thought she was here too.
Okay. She's still on?
She typed in the chat. She said, "I'm here."
So she's saying aye.
That's okay. She's in the chat. I see it. I see it.
Okay, she's saying aye.
Yeah, she said aye.
Bond.
I could barely hear you. I think you said my name.
Yes.
Oh, aye.
Ivan Boras. Sorry.
It's kind of hard to hear you, Ms. Benitez.
I'm as close as I can get.
Okay.
I'm going to say I saw her there, so I'm going to assume she's saying aye.
Who did you call, Ms. Benitez?
Paula Basati.
Oh, aye. Aye.
Arlene Brown.
Aye.
Victor Brown.
Aye.
Jerome Brown. Deacon Edward Brown. Norbert Bryan.
Aye.
Yes, I have tons of bread stacked for me.
Sadie Campbell. Sadie Campbell.
Like, I'm not giving you any.
Sadie Campbell.
Miss Sadie?
Oh my God.
I know, I saw her.
Yeah, she's here.
Aye. Aye.
I'm getting please.
Evelyn Christian. Mark. Joan Claude.
Aye.
Beatrice Coronel.
Aye.
Thank you. Robert Cumberbatch. Colleen Dickinson.
Good evening. Aye.
Good evening. Kevin Eichelberger,
Abstain.
Alfredo Figueroa,
Aye.
Barbara Gibson,
Aye.
Johnny Goff.
Houston, aye.
Johnny Goff,
Aye.
Chantel Green, Robert Hall,
Aye.
Lisa Hayes,
Oh, really?
John
91.
John Isaac.
Aye.
John,
Aye.
got it.
Hey,
Theodore
everyone.
James.
Didn't we go to a play and she?
Aye.
Scott, can you mute? Theodore James,
Aye.
Keisha Martin.
Aye.
Keisha Martin's here.
Yeah, she said aye, Ms. Benitez.
Okay, thank you. Is Ifa Loss here? Paul Lanzano,
Hello, everybody. Aye.
thank you. Lucille Martin. Lucille Martin. I'm gonna say it again, Lucille Martin. Mary McLeod. Janiqua Moore. Janiqua,
Aye. Aye.
got it. Clinton Mike,
Aye.
thank you. Carmen Ortiz. Frank Porter. Claudia Powell. Anthony Reed.
Aye.
Dr. Dina Robbins.
Aye.
Harry Singh.
Aye.
Paul Stricker.
Aye.
Nicole Ware.
Aye.
Dr. Michael Berg.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
So, Ms. Benitez, I want to know, I'm looking at the chat. So, Efwa, we're messing her name up every time. What I want to say is Efwa. La says she's here, and Lucille is in the chat, says she's here too. So, yeah, both of them are having issues. So, I'm looking in the chat. So, both.
You said Lucille Martin was here?
Yeah, Lucille's here. Yeah, she says she's got aye in the chat.
Sorry about that.
She said aye? Okay, thank you.
And if Afua is here as well, Afua last.
Is she an aye or what?
Yeah, she's an aye, according to what I've seen in the chat. Right.
Okay, thanks.
Do we have a quorum, Madam Secretary?
Yes, we do.
Okay,
Yes,
excellent.
we do. Yes,
Thank
we do.
you. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Madam Treasurer, you're up. Tolene.
She can't.
It's your turn.
She's on mute.
She's muted. See if you could unmute her.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I am unmuted, but I'm sorry I did not hear what you said.
No, it's your turn. It's your part of the report.
Oh, it's my turn. Okay, my turn.
Yes, it's your turn.
What I have to say is my turn that we will be having our first Education and Youth Service meeting on February 23rd, which is the fourth Tuesday of the month.
Tolene, we were talking about the treasurer's report.
Sure.
Oh, the treasurers. I'm sorry. Okay, we have not, I'm sorry, too many hats. I love it. Treasurer's report. We have not been able to get to the bank yet in order to transfer the books over into my name and your name, Dr. Burke.
Right.
So that is where we are now. We have not done a Sunshine Fund endeavor yet because I'm trying to figure out how everybody can get their $20 in. I have to talk to the bank and see if we can do it some way virtually, like maybe Zelle, or people can send in their money or drop their money off, which is it's a lot of footwork. So we're still at the same place where we were.
Okay, so we're still working on it. Okay. All
Yes,
right. Well,
still working.
keep on, Madam Treasurer. Like I said, we're in constant contact, and so I know that we're moving forward. So, okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Madam
So
Treasurer.
everybody take that little $20 and put it on the side. Don't spend it. I'm gonna be asking for it.
Okay, you
All
got
right.
it, Madam Treasurer.
Lots of blessings.
Lots of blessings. Okay. So we are at the point where we're voting on committee recommendations and we have quite a few of them this evening. So I guess what I'm going to do is get the easy ones first and then get to the, I guess, more difficult ones because the rest of the evening we're going to be voting. So as I said, it's 8:32. And so if we do this efficiently, we can get done in a decent amount of time. So the first committee that has a recommendation before us is the Transportation and Capital Projects Committee, and they voted out a committee to honor Ms. Ludi Brown. So I'm going to ask our second vice chair and transportation chair, Mr. Isaac, to mention what he's bringing before the board.
Good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing?
Okay.
Great.
Pull up my report. The Transportation and Capital Improvement Committee met on January 14th, 2021 at 7 p.m. We discussed the name addition request of Ms. Ludi Brown, who was a local activist who served as the president of the Kingsland Avenue Block Association. She was frequently interacted with politicians as Sammy B., Guy Valla, Larry Seabrook, and Larry Warden, and David Dinkins. She attended the community board meetings, and she worked for many years to clean up the lot at the corner of Kingsland Avenue and Chester. She was very active in the 47th precinct for many years and would hang the banner and set up the tables and all that stuff. Both Carl Hasty and Ruth Thompson honored her and attended her birthday parties in honor of her. A motion was made and passed that the name Miss Ludi Brown be added to the intersection of Kingsland Avenue and Chester Street in honor of the hard work and dedication that Miss Brown did. I'm gonna just ask if any of Mrs. Brown family is on the call. I saw Brown. I didn't know if that was her daughter or someone was trying to get on before. But anyhow, we need the committee made a recommendation that we honor Mrs. Brown for her hard work, and I need a vote on honoring Mrs. Brown.
Well, first thing we have to do is we have to accept your committee's report. So with that said, and let me just pose it like this. If no one is in objection to accepting the committee report, can I have someone just make one unanimous motion?
I'll make a motion. I'll make a unanimous motion. Okay, go ahead, Mr. Figueroa.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept the motion, the Transportation Committee's motion.
Well, no, you have to word it as such that you make a motion of unanimous consent.
I make a motion
to accept it.
Consent for the board to accept the minutes of the Transportation Committee.
Any objections? So ordered. Now.
Mr. Chair, we had 2 abstentions for the last vote. So Mr. Boras and Mr. Eichelberger, do you agree?
Yes, Ms. Eichelberger, yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much.
So now we need to vote on the recommendation of the committee to honor Miss Ludi Brown. So again, I don't know if anybody, I mean, actually I knew her, and I won't go into a lot of details, but I'm going to, in order for expediency, I'm going to ask again if are there going to be any objections?
First, we got to make the motion.
No, I know that, but I'm asking for a unanimous motion, Mr. Stricker, is what I'm asking
Okay.
for.
So may I speak?
Sure.
I mean, really quickly, I just would like to hear, although I have no objections personally, I would like to hear from the family.
Yeah, but nobody's here from the family.
Her family was there at the last meeting, and they couldn't get on, but their family sent letters, and there were letters of endorsement from the 47th precinct, and the borough president's office recommended that we honor her. So,
Is there anybody that can speak on behalf of her family?
There's a biography.
That knows that.
Yeah, there's a bio that was sent out with the minutes.
there was a bio. I could send you the bio.
I was sent in the minutes.
Not trying to be that guy. I'm just.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for one unanimous motion because, as I said, Ms. Brown was an absolute godsend. As I said, I know her from her work with my grandmother, and I can go on and on and on. So if there are going to be no objections, then I'm going to ask for a motion of unanimous consent. So if someone will make that, I
will make that motion. Unanimous approval of the signage to Chester Street and Kingsland Avenue in honor of Miss Brown.
Thank you, Mr. Strickland.
I second on behalf of your testimony, Dr. Burke.
Well, thank you, Mr. Boris, but you don't have to second it because this is your motion of unanimous consent.
All right.
So the question then becomes, are there any objections? So ordered. So that is done. So thank you.
Dr. Burke, I have one more. I would like to invite everyone to the next transportation and capital improvement meeting. And I think it's going to be a joint meeting with public safety as DOT presents their improvements on, it's going to be 233rd Street, I think it's Bronx Boulevard and Webster Avenue. So it's going to be very important. I think it has to deal with the bike lanes that's going to be going on White Plains Road and connecting to Shoelace Park and everything. So we need your input because it's going to impact what's the changes that are going to be going on in the community and how our community is going to look in the future. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Not a problem. You got it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac. Yeah, that's going to be a very, very important meeting. So if anybody's interested in that, please attend. The motion from the economic development, I'm sure that you saw the news that was sent out by Ms. Green. So we had somebody come before the committee, and thank goodness that we had an opportunity to check them out. With Ms. Benitez and her diligence, we found out that everything is not what it seems. So we'll be pulling the vote from that. Ms. Benitez, you want to comment right quick?
No comment. You said
No
it.
comment?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Benitez.
You're welcome.
Not a problem. So our next vote recommendation is from the Housing Committee. And this is, again, a letter of support for Wakefield Grace. Now, a lot of you were at, I'm going to have Mr. Hall come and speak on that particular committee, because as you know, again, I'm not against senior housing. I'm all for housing. My problem with them, of course, is that to me, the church did not have it together. Developers were a lot more explicit as to what they wanted. But again, it got voted out of committee. So I'm gonna have Mr. Hall talk about that, and then we call for a vote.
Okay. First of all, the Housing Committee met for the third time with regards to the Grace Church located on 241st Street. It's senior housing, 73 units, 72 is for the public. And Pastor Scott also indicated that at least 100 jobs should be provided for the community. This is an urgently needed task. And because of that, finally, all right, it got to a point where a letter of support is needed. All right. And then we voted on it and it was passed. I believe it was 5-2, Ursula, am I right? 5-2, it was passed. So we're looking for a letter of support with regards to Grace Methodist Church.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Hall. So this one I know is not going to be unanimous consent because everybody knows how I feel. So unfortunately, we're going to have to call a voice vote for this. As I said, I would like it to be unanimous consent, but like I said, I'm not feeling good about this project. So first of all, we need to accept your report. So what I would like, of course, is unanimous motion to accept the report of the Housing Committee.
Personally, I'm not sure if I understand the report. Is it possible that can be summarized once again?
Yeah. The report indicates that Grace Methodist Church is providing senior housing. The residents will be taken off of, is that New York Connect? All right, they will be selected. Section 8 residents will be selected off of the New York Connect database. And it's senior housing. All right, I believe there were 6 parking spots. And basically that's it. It provides jobs and the church is the sole responsibility era. That's basically it. All right.
Let me ask this question, Mr. Hall. You did send out minutes for your meeting, right? I thought I saw them somewhere. You sent
Yes,
out
I
minutes,
did.
right? Okay.
Yeah, I sent them for the second time. Yeah. I know you.
Right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I mean, I know I saw them. So I think a lot of what you're saying is in there as well. So for anybody that needs to review that, they can. So like I said, unfortunately, I know how I feel. So we need a motion to accept your report, though, that you did send. So can I have at least a motion of unanimous consent to accept the report?
Question.
Is there a question?
I'll make a motion for.
Hang on for a second, Ivan. Is there a question?
Ms. Gibson,
Ms. Gibson, yes, ma'am.
what is the location of this property?
What's it? 241st Street. It's off of White Plains Road. All right. That's the location.
That's
the church. Go ahead.
That's by the subway?
Yes, it's a block up from the subway.
Thank you.
Okay.
It's almost really on the Mount Vernon Bronx line.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so we need to accept the report first.
I make a motion. Ivan Boris makes a motion to accept the unanimous report.
So we have a motion of unanimous consent to accept the report of the Housing Committee. Are there any objections? So ordered. So now we need a motion to accept the recommendation that the Community Board 12 offers a letter of support for this particular project. Madam Secretary, you call the roll.
Chairman Burke.
Yes, sir.
If I may, is it possible that you can share your content with this project?
Certainly, I have no problems with the developer at all. I think for me, and I have no problems with senior housing, I think that it is noble. I think my problem is that, you heard me say this before, piss poor preparation promotes piss poor performance. And I think my problem is that the church has been working on a quote unquote mechanism for 10 years now. So they actually started a project like this since 2012. Right. So initially it was supposed to be a senior center. I mean, not a senior center, it was supposed to be a community center. Then all of a sudden it morphed into a church. I think what bothered me also was the fact that, we had to have 3 meetings, and it's not Mr. Hall's fault, because the church leadership, they have a new pastor that came on board. And again, so she was kind of sort of trying to get caught up because the old pastor, left. And what wound up happening was the committee that knew more about the project did not come to the housing committee. So it wasn't until early January that I got answers to the questions that I wanted. So to me, and I know that, you can't compare one entity to the next. So if I look at another entity that came for us with the same project, they had their I's dotted and their T's crossed. In other words, they knew exactly, they were able to tell you A, B, C, D, and E. They knew exactly what they wanted when they wanted to do it. So for me, I have no bench group. And yes, is senior housing needed? Yes. Do they need a new church? Yes, without a doubt. But what to me, the plans, if you looked at the plans are more housing than church. And that's the problem that I have. I see Speaker Hasty's on, so I kind of, after we take this vote, if the speaker wants to say something, I'll let the Speaker Hasty say something. But that's my problem. That it's to me, you don't know, they're unorganized. And I have a problem with that. And you're now talking about taking on a major project with housing. That's my objection. But again, I see senior housing. I see where it is needed, but I know how I'm going to vote. But in this case, that's why we need to take a voice vote.
Absolutely. I just want to thank you again for your transparency. That's why you are.
I always try to be as honest as I can. So thank you, sir. So, Madam Secretary? Okay, can I ask everybody, if you are not speaking, please mute yourselves, okay? Because it is very disrespectful to Madam Secretary, all right? And I do not want to have to mute everybody, so please, let's be on out. Thank you. Madam Secretary?
Abdul Hassan.
Aye.
Franklin Alapo.
Aye.
Franklin Alapo.
I say aye.
Victoria Bennett.
Aye.
Sydney Blair.
Aye.
Denise Bond.
Abstain.
Ivan Boras.
Aye.
Basadi. Paula Basadi.
Aye.
Marlene Brown Allen.
Abstain.
Victor Brown. Victor Brown.
Aye. Aye for Victor.
I got him. Jerome Brown. Ron Brown. Deacon Edward Brown. Ryan Norbert.
Abstain.
Sadie Campbell. Sadie Campbell. Sadie Campbell.
I know a guy that knows a guy, and I know a guy. I know a
She's saying
guy.
aye. She's waving her hand.
I got it. Christian, Evelyn Christian. Gail Clark. Gail Clark. Joan Claude.
Okay, I got it.
Aye.
Beatrice Coronel.
Aye.
Robert Cumberbatch. Jolene Dickinson.
Aye.
Kevin Burger,
Aye.
Alfredo Figueroa,
Abstain.
Barbara LeGrand Gibson,
Abstain.
Johnny Goff. Johnny Goff.
Aye.
Chantel Green. Robert Hall.
Aye.
Lisa Hayes. John Isaac.
Aye.
Theodore James.
Aye.
Tisha Martin.
Aye.
Is Ifer last?
Afua?
Yeah,
Aye.
I got you. Colin Zano.
Abstain.
Lucille Martin.
Aye.
Mary McLeod. Shaniqua Moore.
Aye.
Clinton Mike.
Abstain.
Carmen Ortiz. Jay Porter. Claudia Powell. Anthony Reed. Anthony Reed.
Aye.
Dr. Dina Robbins. Dr. Dina Robbins. Okay, I got you.
Aye.
I see.
Aye.
Harry Singh.
Aye.
Paul Stricker.
Here.
Paul Stricker.
Mr. Stricker?
Is he still there?
You turn out this?
Mr. Stricker?
I'll come back to him, but
Abstain. Abstain.
Gotcha.
Somebody muted me.
Nicole Ware.
Aye.
Michael Berg, Dr. Michael Berg. Dr.
Okay.
Michael Berg.
I got you. No.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, before you go, this is Victor Brown. I was distracted. Was my name called?
Yes, she called your name.
Thank you. I did.
Okay, it's aye for me.
I had that, Mr.
Okay,
Brown.
good.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so motion carries. So we will write a letter of support for this particular project. So again, thank you, board members. So before we go into our next voting issue, we have Speaker Hasty, who is actually on. And so, Speaker Hasty, we're glad to have you. So welcome to your home community board in Community Board 12, and Happy New Year to you. You muted.
Happy New Year to you and to the rest of the board members. I hope everybody's staying safe and well. And there's a lot going on. I'd say the governor just introduced the budget. We're still trying to figure out how to unmuddle this whole vaccine situation. So there's a lot that myself and Jamal are dealing with up in Albany. But I just want to drop in and say hello and all of you for doing your civic duty. The community board is supposed to be the eyes and ears to the city. So I appreciate everybody doing their civic duty and volunteering. You don't get paid to do this job. But I want to thank you all. A lot of you have been long-standing committee members and some of you are new, but I appreciate and just want to congratulate you all on your dedication to trying to make our community a better place.
Thank you, Speaker Hasty. For those individuals that do not know how to get in contact with you, could you possibly put your contact information in the chat?
Okay.
For those that do not know, I mean, like I said, because we have several community residents that are on the call as well. So, I mean, obviously, you know, most of us know how to get in contact with you, but some may not. And so, like I said, if they want access to you or anybody in your office, how would they be able to do that?
I'm trying to find, I've never used this. I'm more of a Zoom and the Google. So where is the chat for me to put that in?
The chat function, are you on your tablet or are you on a computer?
I'm on the tablet.
You're on a tablet? Okay, you know, I do not know how to do it on a tablet. So I'm going to ask my, okay, never mind. Councilman Raleigh just, you know, Councilman Raleigh just helped you out. So he just put his, your contact information in the chat.
I found it. And I'm also going to put my email address.
Dr. Burke, you know I used to work for him, so I'm gonna help him
I
out.
know that. I know that. I know that. You know, and that's why I say, you know, that you know, I was about to, you know, say something. So that's great. You know what I mean? That you bumping for the speaker. You know what I mean? So we really appreciate that. You know, and that just goes to show you, you know, and as you know, the fraternity honored him as well. So just so you know that, Councilman Riley. So you were there on that as well. So anyway. So anyway, thank you, Speaker Hasty. Thank you, Councilman Raleigh. I appreciate that.
I did put my email address in there.
It's already in there. I think it's already in there. So I think you put it in there. So you're great. So thank you, Speaker Hasty. We appreciate. Yeah, it's speaker at NewYorkAssembly.gov. So it's already in there. All right. Thank you, sir. So let's move on to, we have actually three more voting items and then the meeting is over. We've got bylaws, so the bylaws committee. So Mr. Stricker, normally Carla drives this. So Carla, you want to drive this or you want me to put it up on the screen?
I would ask you to let Carla drive it.
You want to let Carla drive it? Okay, Carla, you're up.
No, actually, Dr. Burke, if you're willing to drive it, I'd prefer that because I'm taking minutes on my main device.
Okay.
So that would be, yeah, hard for me.
Okay, great. So I will just summarize what's taking place then. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to share the screen. So hopefully it is up this. So that's on Ms. Brown. So that's what Mr. Bohr. So this again was in the minutes. So I'm trying to get to the bylaws revision, and hopefully you will be seeing that. Okay, so what you should see is the bylaws revision, right? So this is the work that the bylaws committee just came up with, and this is the final draft that was reviewed by Attorney Singh. So what we're doing in Article 5 is we're actually adding we're separating the responsibilities of the secretary, corresponding secretary, and a recording secretary. So the corresponding secretary is pretty much what Ms. Benitez is doing right now. And again, if you look at Section 1, so that has been delineated in Section 1. If you go to Section 6 of the bylaws, we're actually talking about a parliamentarian as well. And so what this says is that the chairperson, which in this case is me, will appoint a parliamentarian who will advise me or whoever sits in this chair as to parliamentary procedures. Section 9 describes the role of the corresponding secretary. So in other words, we crossed out some language, being that we crossed out some language. And then of course in Section 10, we added 3 sections. So in Section 10, we actually added the recording secretary. So even though this particular position is an elected position, we haven't elected anybody yet. But then right now, Ms. Carla Borsatti has been serving in this role for years. And so, you know, again, so right now, technically she's the acting recording secretary if we want to be official via parliamentary procedure. We also added Section 11, which of course there are no changes in the role of the treasurer, but it was renumbered because in the bylaws that were dated January 1, 2000, it was not numbered correctly. And the same thing applies to section 12, being that it was not labeled correctly, then, that section was added. So these are the revisions for the officers. So in other words, when we tried to do this in the past, we needed to delineate the differences between the corresponding secretary and the recording secretary. So the bylaws committee went back to the drawing board, and this is what they came up with. And again, all of this is in your minutes. I think this was distributed when the minutes was distributed as well. So what we're going to do right now is ask if we need to accept the report of the bylaws committee, and then we need to take a vote on their recommendation. So the first thing we need is to accept the report of the bylaws committee. So what I'm going to ask is for a unanimous motion to accept the report from the bylaws committee.
I, Ivan Boris, make a unanimous motion to accept the report from the bylaws committee.
Second, John Isaac.
Okay, so John, you don't have to second it because again, we're asking for a motion of unanimous consent.
Okay.
For this, right? So, are there any objections? So ordered. Now we need to take a vote on whether or not we want to approve the language of the bylaws committee. And being that, hopefully everybody's going to say aye, but I don't know if you will. So we need to call for a voice vote. Madam Secretary? And I'm saying, okay. If you think that you're going to accept it, that's great. But if not, we still need to call for a voice vote. It's that simple, guys. We gotta follow the rules.
Chairman Burke,
yes, sir.
Can you ask for abstentions?
Well, yeah. That's what I'm saying. If you abstain and it's not unanimous, that's what we got to call a roll. So you can abstain when she calls a roll.
No bunching, Ivan. I'm sorry.
Right.
I don't want that bunching together because it confuses everything. So
thank you so much. Thank you so much for the clarity. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank
you. Okay. Hassim Abdul, sorry.
Hussein, abstain.
Abstain?
Yeah.
Franklin Alpo?
Aye. Can you hear me? Aye.
I heard you.
Okay.
Abstain.
Cindy Blair?
Aye.
Denise Bond?
Aye.
Ivan Anthony Boras?
Aye.
Paula Asadi?
Paula.
Paula Bassati?
I think she's on her phone. Aye.
Okay, I got it. Marlene Brown Allen?
Aye.
Victor Brown?
Aye.
Jerome Brown? Deacon Edward Brown? Norbert Bryan? Norbert Bryan? Norbert Bryan? Anything in the chat for him? Sadie, one way or the other. Sadie, shake your head, yeah. Okay, gotcha. Evelyn Christian? Bill Clark. Claude.
Aye. Aye.
You just left me.
Chris Coronel.
Aye.
Dean Dickinson.
Aye.
Kevin Eichelberger. Thank you. Alfredo Figueroa.
Aye.
Robert Gibson.
Aye.
Johnny Goff.
Aye.
Chantel Green. Paul.
Aye.
Lisa Hayes. John Isaac.
Aye. Aye.
Theodore James.
Aye.
Martin. Keisha Martin.
Aye.
Ifa Las.
Aye.
Zano. Paula Zano. Paula Zano. Where are you?
Aye.
Phil Martin. Phil Martin. Nico Moore. Nico Moore.
Aye.
Still online?
Who?
Clinton.
Aye.
Anthony Reed.
I can't really hear you. You're breaking up a little bit.
Yeah.
Robin.
Who'd you say, Ms. Benitez? We can't hear you at all.
Dr. Dina Robbins. Dr. Dina Robbins.
You're muted, Dina. You're muted.
Just check her head. Is she saying yes?
Yeah, she's saying yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Harry Singh.
Aye.
Paul Stricker.
Aye.
Nicole Ware.
Aye.
Lucille Martin. Lucille Martin. Dr. Michael Berg.
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Secretary. So,
Mr. Chairman, may I say a
yes,
word?
sir. Certainly.
I just want to thank everybody for your vote because it's been going like, I don't want to use the word hell, but it was like hell trying to get these things put together so everybody would be happy with them. And I can't thank Carla Bazzotti more because she was my right arm on this project because She has the screen, and I don't have a computer to work. I have to thank Carla and all the board members who voted in favor of this. Thank you so much.
Not a problem. Thank you, Mr. Strick. And again, yes, you're absolutely right. Carla definitely did a lot of the legwork on this. So thank, you, Carla, as well for your work in getting this done. So we have two more issues before the board, and then we're done. The next issue is a land use issue. And so I'm just going to mention the first two quickly. So we have, we're not going to be voting on those tonight because quite frankly, 1 and 2 are kind of sort of similar, but not quite. For those that were at the land use committee meeting, you know that one entity, the first one, actually wants us to pretty much do away with our variance, which means that they in essence would not have to check in with us every 20 years. And that was a non-starter. Plus, thanks to our district manager advocating for us, we need them to do some work on a retaining wall and the sidewalk. And so prior to giving them our vote, we want to make certain that they do the work. So for us to vote on giving them what they want without us getting anything in return, quite frankly, is ludicrous for us to do that. So what we did for 1 is we're tabling that until March. And the reason is because their variance isn't due until July anyway for 1 and 2. And so hopefully we're going to come back in March and we'll see what they come up with. As far as 3 is concerned, I thought we were still going to vote because we have to vote, but it's going to take a little longer because they actually have a presentation that they would like to present to the board. And this, like I said, we just became aware of this at around 6 o'clock this evening. Well, we knew they wanted to present, but I just saw the presentation at 6, so I'm aware of it. And so, as I said, they want to present to you, the full board. So with that being said, Ms. Iannotti, are you on the call?
Yes.
Oh, there you are. You most definitely are. Welcome to Community Board 12.
Yes, if I could have the capability to share
You
my
have the screen.
I will pull up the presentation and Richard Lobel will be giving the presentation this evening.
Yes, you have the screen.
Okay. The share button is still, I can't click it.
You shouldn't. Okay, you should be. Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I thought you had the screen. That's my fault.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
One moment.
Great. So Dr. Burke, may we begin?
You may.
Thank you. Dr. Burke, members of the community board, my name is Richard Lobel. I'm from Sheldon Lobel, and I'm representing Dino Tomasetti as the applicant and owner in this application. Dino is a owner of several storage facilities going by the name of Storage Fox. And so the application here before you tonight is to allow a self-storage facility and industrial park at 3536 Pear Tree Avenue. And Ms. Iannotti is going to be running through the presentation. We're also joined by Victor Folletti, the project architect, and Musa Moore, who is our government relations consultant. So the history of this application, we went before the community board land use committee in December and had a very nice conversation with them about a potential self-storage facility that was going to be paired with a catering hall. The catering hall was the brainchild of then council member Andy King, who had mentioned to us that the local area would be well served and was anxious to have a catering facility. And so we presented the land use committee that night with a catering facility slash self-storage facility. The catering facility was 20,000 square feet and would house roughly 700 guests. And so on that night, we spoke to the land use committee who told us that there was indeed no need for a catering facility here. It was not something that was desirable. And so some ideas were sent back and forth. And so they said, look, we think that maybe if you paired the self-storage facility with industrial suites or office suites, that would be better. The opportunity here given to local industrial manufacturers, users, smaller users, local fabricators, or even people in the food industry or makers to have small suites of 2,000, 2,500 square feet. They would be able to use this facility to start up their businesses and allow them to, produce there and to send goods into the public. So we came up with this idea. Now, we were at the community board land use committee 2 nights ago, and we were rejected. And as a land use attorney, we get rejected all the time, and I understand it. And sometimes we take our chips and go home. But for some reason, when I left that night, it did not feel right to me, because I think that the committee members had made suggestions that evening, which were good. And it would have been a shame for us to walk away from this project, because as you're going to see in this presentation, there's certain benefits here, which we've added to since the time of the committee meeting, which we feel would appeal to the community board and the community as a whole. And so we want to show you what those are. Next slide, please. So what are we here for? We're here for a special permit, which is very important. I myself have been before this community board before for rezonings, where we seek to change the bulk of a site to allow for far greater use or bulk than is permitted. That's not this. When you look at this site, this is a 38,500 square foot site, roughly. You can do many terrible things on this site. And I say terrible because this is an M21 district. You may know the area off of Boston Post Road and Pear Tree. There are auto-related facilities, concrete facilities, junkyards. It is not a nice area. And so as of right on the left of your screen right now, you see what you can do with the site. You can do a 4-story building, 60 feet high. You can do 77,000 square feet, and you can do, in the city of New York, some of the most noxious uses available in the zoning resolution. Auto, dead storage, building materials, chemicals, crematoriums, contractors' yards, fuel sales, lumber yards, rubber manufacturer, garage, steel, trucking terminals. You've seen them all on these streets. They're unattractive. They make these streets, not safe. And so what we're proposing, which is on the right, is a building which is 3 stories. So it's 15 feet less than you would be able to do as of right. It's 76,000 square feet. And the uses are, as we said, these industrial suites or office space, which we'll talk about, the self-storage component of it, and a rooftop garden, a hydroponic garden. This was something which was mentioned in the discussion yesterday. And again, instead of walking away, Dino said to me, can we do this? Is this something which is permitted by zoning? Is this something we can add to this project? And we found out, yeah, you can do this. So the plans and materials right now represent an additional 5,000 square feet. So we have 20,000 square feet for local industrial small users who want to come in and rent this space. There's the self-storage component, which Dino can discuss, which is his business. And there is a 24,000 square foot space now devoted to a rooftop hydroponic garden, which we can also discuss. Next slide. What's in the area of this property? So first of all, to know what's in the area of this property, you have to see what you can do on this site alone. This rendering right here is what you can do as of right. We could blow up the process, leave the community board, withdraw the application, go to the Department of Buildings, and the architects have penciled this out. We could file for this building that you see right here in gray tomorrow. It is an unattractive building, but it is completely legal and as of right. We don't want to do that building. That is a 4-story manufacturing building, which is not sought by us. There is residential use within 600 feet of this property. It would be a shame. It would be completely legal, but it would be a shame to have to do this building or to have to, for some user to come in and use it for this purpose when there is a mutual benefit that's available if we go with this new plan. Next slide. I drove around the site this morning. I took pictures. These were all taken by me this morning. This is what you get in the area of this site. You see the arrows around the site right here. Starting at the top is the end of our block, which is, it's a junkyard. It's auto wreckage site. On the bottom right, you see the concrete ready mix facility. It's not pleasant. You can see the trash strewn streets to the bottom and to the left and to the upper left. Upper left, that picture right there, this morning across the street from our site, it's a dead zone. And so what we're trying to do is to try to do something which I saw the theme for tonight's community board meeting is transformation to greatness. I love that. And I think it's something which we can try to do together with this site. Next slide. So this is the proposal. We talked about the fact that there would now be industrial suites. Industrial suites are use group 16, use group 17. Those are for local users. Dino basically told the committee 2 nights ago, he said, we want local people to be in here. We want to discount the rents. We want to be able to get people in here who will take advantage of this space. Let's say you're a younger person. Let's say you want to be a manufacturer. You want to make something. You want to create a food product. What you want to do. Like you need to do space, you need space for that. And you can't always afford to go into a larger space or to purchase or rent a larger facility. This enables you, there's parking here, there's truck loading here. It's like a perfect synergy with the fact that there is self-storage devoted to a portion of the site. So the site basically, and Amanda, I think we probably have the numbers with regards to the site, but the site here basically goes from what we presented to the committee was 60,000 square feet of self-storage and 15,000 square feet of industrial park to now 55,000 square feet of self-storage, 20,000 square feet of this industrial space, and a 24,000 square foot hydroponic garden on the roof. Next slide. These are just various pictures of the site from different angles as it would be produced. You can take a look at the Department of Buildings records within a quarter mile of this site. The new buildings in this area are few and far between. There's an opportunity here to put up a good building, a nice building, something with good lighting, something which would bring some activity to an otherwise desolate street. Dino has experience and his partners have experience in this area. They have produced fantastic buildings, and they are, this is their business. This is what they do. And this is what would essentially fund the rest of the building. You can see the layout here. There's a small portion which is devoted to self-storage on the ground floor. The remainder now is an additional 5,000 square feet for 20,000 square feet of light industrial. Next slide. The next slide depicts the second and third stories, which show the self-storage facility. And then there's a rooftop hydroponic garden, which now is devoted to 24,000 square feet on the roof. Why is this a good use for the site? And Amanda, you can just forward to the last slide. I had a conversation this morning with Gwen Shantz. She is a chief operating officer at Brooklyn Grange. Brooklyn Grange is an urban farming organization. They have farms in Queens and Brooklyn. They basically, and she talked to me about this and what they do. And so what the potential would be for a site like this. But basically you go in, you have 20,000 square feet for hydroponic farming. Amazingly, in the city of New York, hydroponic farming is a use group 17C. The use groups in the city of New York are divided. They range from use group 1 and 2, which is residential, all the way up to use group 18, which is the heaviest industrial manufacturing you can get. 17, use group 17 is a farming use. So when you look at the 3 sites that Brooklyn Grange has in Long Island City and Sunset Park, you see that they've got, as well as Brooklyn Navy Yard, you can see that they're all in M zones. They're all in M1 through M3 zones. So a use group 17 use, you actually need you need a manufacturing district to do this. And that's what this is. This is a manufacturing district. So the use here is completely legal. And the best part about this is that we can lease this to an organization that does urban farming, and the lower bays, which are for industrial space, they can use one of those, 2 of those, however many they want to lease, to sell their goods, to sell their products, to sell their produce. So someone can literally walk in here, set up a farm, have their goods, bring their goods down to the first floor of this facility and sell them out of that bay. That's what a well-conceived and fantastic idea this is. So in short, we're happy to answer any questions, but I just wanted to say I didn't want to give up on this, because when I walked away from the committee last night, it didn't seem to me like there was a fundamental misunderstanding here. It seemed to me that people wanted to advance with something, and I heard what was said about maybe providing more space for these small industrial users, maybe providing for a hydroponic garden. And this is something that we can all benefit from. So again, I appreciate the community board. We all appreciate being here. We appreciate the time that you spent on this, and we'd be happy to answer any additional questions. We hope we get your support.
Well, thank you, Attorney LaBelle, for the presentation. The nice thing about this is our councilman is here. So our brand new councilman, Councilman Raleigh, is here. So before I comment, let me just, I guess, bring him up to speed. So Councilman Raleigh, what wound up happening is we had a land use committee meeting in December as well as this month. And so the 60-day ULURP deadline for us passed on Tuesday. And so we as a full board needed to vote on this. The board decided on Tuesday, or the land use committee, I should say, decided on Tuesday that we did not want a storage facility because there was one right in front of it on Connor, right where that McDonald's is, and there was one on the other side of Boston Road. So some of the ideas that were presented to Mr. Tomasetti and Attorney LaBelle and their team was that if we were to look at hydroponics, and we looked at, and we said hydroponics because, hey, I'm a Star Trek fan. That was one of the reasons. And the second reason was because we have major health disparities here in the Bronx. And so we were like, if we were to, and one of the things that Borough President Diaz is promoting, of course, is not 62. So we were like, if you were to come up with a fresh fruits and vegetable facility, then that would be great. And of course, you would create a number of green jobs, and therefore it would be advantageous to the environment, advantageous for us. What we proposed, however, of course, was that the entire building be hydroponics. And so I guess this is a compromise. Another idea that we proposed was a movie studio. As you know, Councilman Raleigh, there are quite a number of shows that are being shot up here in the Bronx. I mean, you're well aware of this in your work with Speaker Hasty. And so another thing that we propose, an idea that we proposed to the developers, was that what happens if we were to use this as a movie studio instead of them going downtown to Manhattan or someplace else? That would be more advantageous because, of course, they'd be paying into the tax base in the confines of Community Board 12. So those are just some of the ideas that came about that meeting on Tuesday. It was pretty apparent based on the meeting that the board of the land use committee was not in favor of the storage facility. So what we did on that end, Mrs. Denise Bond, who was one of the members of the land use committee, actually stated that she wanted to keep a dialogue, which I agreed with her, that we need to keep a dialogue with Mr. Tomasetti and his group. So to that end, while Attorney LaBelle and his team did homework on their end, we did homework on our end. And so, our community associate, Ms. Ursula Green, put me to work and told me what the facility used to be. And so I looked at what the facility used to be, and this is the site of the old Hexagon Labs. Okay, so that's what this is. This is the site of the old Hexagon Labs, which of course was a Superfund cleanup site. And I think, and Father Gorman was, when he was a chair, was an advocate for them cleaning this up. So that's the location that they're looking at. One of the things that we also did.
Can I get the address to the location?
Yes, it is 3536 Pear Tree Avenue is where the location is. So Councilman Raleigh, the other thing that we did was, because we did want to continue the dialogue on our end, what I did was I asked the second vice chair to contact Charlie Samboy down at the Office of Economic Development. I know you know Charlie very well. So I asked him to contact Charlie Samboy to see if we can, what we can do to help the developers develop this, because it was clear, and even if you look in the chat, you can see that the idea of storage facility is not going to fly, even if you look in the chat. But my idea, or excuse me, the land use committee's idea is that if we went and we did hydroponics, this would be a win-win for them and for us. Now I know that, I don't want to poison the board. So that's just what happened at the meeting. And so at this point, I hate to turn this into a land use committee meeting, but it looks like that's what's happening. So I need to open it up to Mr. Stricker, Attorney Singh, and his in the board to see what they think about it. So that's just to give you an idea of what's happened without, me weighing in as to what I think. But I'm just looking at the chat, and the chat is pretty much, saying the same thing that was said at the land use committee meeting. So for those that don't know, Councilman Raleigh is our new councilman, so Attorney LaBelle, Attorney Iannotti, and Mr. Tomasetti, meet Councilman Raleigh. So Kevin Raleigh is our new councilman. He's replacing Andy King. And so, as I said, he'd be the person that you'd be talking to. So this is in the EULA process now. So right now it's at the borough president's office, but we were supposed to, and we still got to vote tonight on whether or not we want to grant them a special use permit for a storage facility. So that's what's on the table. So at this point, I'm going to open this up to Mr. Strick. I think I've covered all the bases, right? So assuming that I've covered all the bases, which I know I have, board members, if you have any questions for Attorney LaBelle, he's willing to answer them at this time. So this is open to the entire board and board members only.
I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Bond.
Yes, I would like to know when you look at first of all, let me just say this. I would like to thank you for making some changes to what you initially proposed to the land use committee just this week here. What I would like to know is what percentage really of the property you intend on using the hydroponics? It's just going to be the rooftop and that's it. So what percentage? It's going to be how much do you want for the storage and how much do you want for offices, hydroponics?
Wait. Yeah, so let them answer her question first.
Sure. Thank you for the question. So there's the hydroponics would be on the rooftop, which is 24,000 square feet. The self-storage facility is 55,000 square feet. The industrial suites are a total of 20,000 square feet. So frankly, if this became, if there was a contiguous user, let's say somebody said, I want to do food production, I want to do food sales, I want to produce in the hydroponic farms and then sell what I'm producing downstairs, which would make a lot of sense. They could take as much of the 20,000 square feet as they wanted to, these are suites. They can be broken up into 1, 2, 8. It's like whatever they would want to take. So basically the idea was with this, there would be 44,000 square feet for hydroponics, as well as for any sales and industrial users, light industrial users. And there would be 55,000 square feet for the remaining for the self-storage facility. And again, Dino is a self-storage guy. And so when this started out, he saw there was a special permit for a self-storage facility. He said, great. It's evolved since then to allow for these other uses in the building to make it a productive building. But the one thing that I think he wanted me to note is that the self-storage funds the building. It's a new 75,000 square foot building. And so in order to do that, in order to produce that building and allow for these other uses, that's the reason why he needs the self-storage.
Okay. Thank you so much for answering my question.
Of course.
Well, do we have any other questions from the board?
Barbara Gibson.
Go ahead.
We don't need any more storage in that location. If you could come up with something else, it's also a ballroom, as you had stated in the beginning from Andy King, or some kind of educational component in that location where you say there's parking. Our kids need some training in preparing for jobs or whatever the new future is going to be. So I don't think that another storage where our people are paying for their merchandise in there and they never get it out. I have relatives. So whatever you have in mind, forget the storage. Thank you.
Thank you for your opinion. May I speak?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Okay, so there's two things with that, and I appreciate it, and I get it. You drive around and there's self-storage there. So there's two things that I would note. The first thing is that the city asks you to look at these self-storage numbers in the area before you bring this application. So we did that. And there's a demand, which basically this is like documented and the city comes up with these numbers, but there's a demand for 4 to 5 feet per capita, per person of storage. And so the numbers basically in that area are 1.8 to 2.3 million square feet of storage space, which would otherwise be required. The self-storage facilities within 3 miles of that contain 1.245. So when you're looking at whether or not there's enough self-storage, despite the fact that you're like, look at all those facilities, there's 2 things to note. The first is that would mean that there's between 600,000 and 1.05 million square feet of shortfall of square footage that people still want and would still need in that area. And the second thing is that many times this is going to individuals, it's going to local families, it's going to people with smaller apartments. They may need the additional space, I would say particularly now, to be able to offload some of their stuff. Dino rents to individuals, he rents to families, he rents to businesses. It's a facility which would be widely used in that regard. The other thing that they make you look at with regards to the numbers is what is the use of the facilities in the area? What is that square footage used for? Within a quarter mile of this spot, there's 4.8 million square feet of lot area. A third of that, 1.6 million, is used for factories. And another 1.2 million is used for warehouses. So you think about, the other third, 35% is used for vacant lots and parking. It's an area where, as of right, there are very desolate, stark uses, they're not clean uses. The opportunity here, no matter how you feel about the self-storage use itself, is to bring a mixture of uses which are cleaner and which would actually brighten up the spot. So again, we thank you for your opinion. And the only thing we'd note, we've loved working with the community board, but just spend a minute on the good faith of the developer. They started out coming in with an application with a catering facility for 700 people. That's what they were informed by the then council member would be needed. They came back to the community board with that. Community board said, you know what, we probably want to see office suites or industrial users. They came back with that proposal. After that, 2 nights ago, they came back and said, you know what, we probably want to see some hydroponic farming. We came back with that proposal. So this is not a guy who's like not listening. It's a guy who's really done his best to listen, but sadly, like this night represents the end of the process for the community board.
Excuse me, but he turned down the facility for storage also. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
I said he turned down the opportunity to have storage there also.
Oh, who did?
With the meeting you had last night.
No, 2 nights ago. No. Well, yeah, they rejected our proposal for sure. But basically we went back and saw whether or not we could add things to the proposal that were raised at the meeting, which we tried to do.
Okay, I could understand that. So you would have to do that for us too. No storage there. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but that's the only reason we have to be here, because that's what the special permit's for.
Attorney LaBelle. Okay, so hang on. So let me do it like this. So let me wrap this up. I see a couple of people, and we're gonna wrap. I see Ivan. I got him. I've got Beatrice. I see Mr. Hall, and I see Ms. Clyde. So those are my questions. And what we need to do is Councilman Raleigh has said some things in the chat. I kind of sort of want him to tie this up. So Ivan, you're first, then Beatrice, then Mr. Hall, then Ms. Clyde, then Councilman Raleigh, because I want him to wrap this up, and then we can go. Because we will, unfortunately, we do not want to turn this into a land use meeting, right? So Ms. Blair has said something else too, which is true. If you are not being spoken to, right, or you're not speaking, please mute yourselves, because there's too much noise in the background. Okay, so only speak when it's your turn. If it's not your turn, please mute yourselves. Okay.
Parliamentary procedure. This is the chairman of the land use. Would like to say something.
Certainly.
We took a vote the other night, and I much appreciate what they did to come back with what we asked them, to look further into. But there's consensus of, I would say, 98% of the people at that meeting was they don't want any storage. And, I don't know how we can get that across to the developer. He's been more than cooperative with us.
Yes.
But the issue is that we don't want any more storage. And when he says within 1.5, I don't think he's taking into consideration the storage over the Eastchester Creek. There's a storage facilities over there at Mount Vernon. So I think we have more storage facilities than we need. And I just wish he could get build the building, get a movie theater, not a movie theater, TV show studio, and the gardens would be great, and he would make money on it. But I know storage facilities is a good source of income, but it's not good for the community.
Well, that only depends on because we don't know the volume of the storage in the other places, Mr. Stricker. So who's to say it really makes money? We really don't know that because we would need to see the numbers.
Would everybody be building storage facilities if it doesn't pay them to build them?
That's true. Obviously there's money to be made because I think in New York City they charge too much money, which is why they charge too much in New York City. I think that's just my personal opinion with storage. And as I said, I'm looking at the chat. Everybody's saying no storage in the chat. So I want to. So thank you, Mr. Stricker. I want to, since I've got to, I said Ivan. Then who was next? Beatrice, thank you. Then Mr. Hall, and then Ms. Claude, and then Councilman Rowley.
Thank you, Chairman Hall. Dr. Burke, Chairman Burke. I just want to say, as many of you know, for those of you that know me, this is something that I have advocated against for many years now. So if you didn't know me pre-COVID nor post-COVID or whatever current COVID, I'm totally against this. I really want Councilman Riley to really address this for the simple fact that this is just perpetuating the inadequacies of our community. So with that being said, our homeless, our poverty level, and so on and so forth. How does that help any of that? Okay. You implementing another storage facility, what does that say for our community? It says that our community can't afford housing. So why would we even entertain the fact of a hydroponics on the roof? I am totally tired of these wolves in sheep's clothing coming into our communities and selling us on an idea that they're potentially going to reap benefits off of. And if this is what it is, then this is what it is. And I'm putting it out there that we as a board, we need to do our due diligence in saying enough is enough, right? Because that's what we are. We're representatives of our community. And that's what I'm here for. And that's my statement for tonight. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Boris. And again, I think that, the committee, as Chairman Stricker said, did vote no on that. Ms. Cornell.
Thank you, Dr. Burke. With all due respect, our responsibility as a community board is really to advocate for a better quality of life for our neighbors, our residents, and for ourselves. And frankly, as we've all been saying, we can't keep accepting the standard quo, which is fast food places, these storage facilities. We need to, if we want to build equity, it has to start with us. And unfortunately, you would be the ones, the developers would be the ones that would be building equity. But can you explain to us how the community would be building equity? For example, who are the ones that are using these storage facilities? Is it the residents of this community, or is it people outside of our district?
Dr. Berg, I have an answer.
Certainly.
So I guess I'll answer the first thing with regards to equity in the community, and then maybe Dino, if you want to just address the users of the facility. So the district in which this is located is an M21 district. What can you not do in M21 districts? You can't do housing. You can't do schools. So a lot of the uses which would be available in other districts aren't available here. It's an intensive commercial district. So really, like, we put up the list about the uses that are available in M2. If you take a look around and you drive those streets, you see what you get. You get auto wreckage yards, concrete facilities, that kind of stuff. So the idea that the ability to pair what Dino wants to do with a facility which allows for local users to be able to rent at below market rates, to be able to use, maybe it's somebody who's starting a business who needs some space. Maybe it's someone who wants to establish an office. The idea also of the hydroponic farm. In 2019, the city passed local law 9294, which basically says that if you put a roof on your new facility, you're going to do either solar panels or a green roof. And so there's going to be 24,000 square feet of rooftop here, which typically, as Dino's done on other facilities, would be solar panels. But if you do an urban farm, hydroponics, that satisfies local law 9294. So it works. And like we did the research and it works. So again, there's an opportunity to give something back to the community in terms of the users who might use the space, and also the ability to bring produce, which would happen right there and would be, you're allowed to do it. You're encouraged to do it in a use group 17 in an M2. So that's what I would say about what the facility could give back. But I'd ask Dino just to talk about potential users at the site.
I think we would agree that we do like the rooftop, the garden that we can use for that. Again, I think that is an area that we would like to see our community doing more of. When we talk about health disparities, we were the hardest hit with COVID, but still the storage facility part is just what we're not in agreement with here. And before I get off, I just wanted to make a comment to Councilmember Riley that for the ad hoc not-for-profit committee, we have been talking about building an educational center. So we would love to continue that conversation at a later time, but we have been talking about that. Thank you.
Okay, this is Robert Hall. I want to be brief. I want to make a long story short. Ivan stole my thunder when he told you about what you don't need to have as far as a storage facility, because you're implying that homelessness is right around the corner. That's not necessary. But what really bothers me, you need to do your homework, and everybody needs to do their homework on Hexagon Labs. That area has been deeply infected. You understand? And nobody's doing their homework on it. Please, before you go forward, Councilman Riley and everybody, do your homework on that property, because you're going to be surprised. Okay? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right, Mr. Hall. And I think that's why, and again, I'm so glad that, again, you give me proper birthday to the day I die, because, once I did some homework, I'm like, I don't know why it was referred that you'd want to eat there. You know what I mean? I'm like, there's no way in hell that anybody would want to do that. And I'm somewhat perplexed that was mentioned. Ms. Claude?
Are you saying Claudette or someone else?
Okay,
Joan Clyde.
Mr. Hall actually said exactly what I wanted to say. My observation is that whenever a storage is established in the community, a homeless shelter is always lurking around the corner. And that's why they need the space for these homeless people. So we do not need any more storage in this community. We've had more than our share of homeless shelters. Thank you.
Okay, so I know everybody has questions. I'm going to ask it, if I didn't get to you, that you put it in the chat, because we need to put a bow on this, because this has gone longer than I anticipated, and we still have one more item to vote on outside of this. So Councilman Rowley, if you could please, you've heard the sentiments of the community, you've heard the sentiments of the developer. If you could please address us.
Thank you, Chairman Burke. And I believe, and just to respectfully, I thank Dino and Attorney Lobel for really looking to please the community by adding the amendments to the project. But I really have to defer to my community with everything that I do, but especially with this project. When it comes to storage centers in our community, we've been overpopulated. And like many in the chat and many have, addressed today, when a storage center comes, it also comes with a homeless shelter, and our community has been saturated with homeless shelters, and we really don't want any more. Even though there are more homeless shelters in other places in the Bronx, this is just not something we want in this district. We need a workforce development center. We need other things in our community right now besides the storage unit. So I do appreciate the due diligence to try into working with the community, but I really have to defer to my community because prior to that, and even a personal feeling, I am kind of tired of seeing all the storage units being built in the community and think so much other things can be built. Understanding that the zoning area, so we can't have like housing or senior housing. We do have to be careful about rezoning the area because if we rezone it, they might come with a bunch of whole heap of things for our area that we won't really be appreciating. So I definitely want to do some more research, as Mr. Hall stated. But I do know, first and foremost, I definitely don't want no more storage units in this district, period. There's so much other things we could do in this community. So I just want to extend my gratitude to Attorney Lobel and Dino for really trying to work with this community. I know I'm just coming in, and you guys have been advocating and fighting for this for a very long time. But personally, and it seems like the community, it has the same sentiments that I have. I really can't, approve something like this coming to my community. So I look forward on working in future projects with you all, but hopefully it's something that we could accept in this community. So I thank you, Chairman Burke, for allowing me to speak. And community, I'm with you. I stand with you, and whatever you guys want, that's what I'm going to be behind. Thank you.
Well, Councilman Rowell, we're glad to hear you say that. And again, you're always welcome here. This is your home community board. So let me just wrap this up by saying this, because we're going to call for the vote. Mr. Tomasetti, Attorney Lobel, and Attorney Iannetti, the fact that you've come before us and the fact that you've been willing to modify your proposal says a lot about you. And I think on behalf of the Land Use Committee, on behalf of councilmen, and behalf of the residents of this community, we thank you. And I'm going to take something that Mrs. Bond said to you on Tuesday, that we still want to work with you. And that's why my second vice chair, that's now his project, to try to contact Mrs. Samboy in economic development to keep the lines of communication open. All right. So he and I talked about that. And in fact, I actually want to put one other person on this project if she wants to, and that's Ms. Keisha Lago Martin. That's because of her expertise, which is the same as yours, Mr. Moore, Mr. Musamore, that is. Her expertise is the same as yours as far as intergovernmental relations. So between Ms. Keisha Lago Martin, my second vice chair, John Isaac, I'm hoping that we can come to an agreement on what we would like to see. I'm looking at the chat. A lot of people like to see hydroponics. That seems like a big idea, or whatever. What I'm hoping that you do is I'm hoping that you choose to continue. I think right now what I'm seeing, based on the councilman, based on what happened on Tuesday, and based on what I'm seeing in the chat, I'm going to call for the vote. But I think we kind of sort of know how this vote is going to go, and so I think that we just cannot take, as much as I like hydroponics, having it on the roof is one thing, having the entire building is something else. And the question then becomes, what if you still want to work with us after this vote? And I guess that's going to be now up to you. I can't tell you what the vote is going to be, but I have an idea of what the vote is going to be once I call it. So I don't know. At this point, I'm going to close the discussion. George, you want to say anything before we call for the vote? Okay, George doesn't want to say anything. So I'm going to call for the vote. So the first thing we need to do is we need to call to a vote to accept the report of the Land Use Committee. Then we're going to call for a vote on whether or not we want to give a special exemption for the storage facility. So let me ask the question this way. If everybody's in favor of accepting the report, then I would like if someone could give a motion of unanimous consent that we can set the report of the land use committee.
Our motion, Ivan Boris motions for a unanimous acceptance of the report.
So there's a motion for unanimous consent on the floor for acceptance of the land use committee. Are there any objections? So ordered. So the report has now been accepted. So let me ask a question this way, because normally we would take a voice vote, but what I'm seeing and hearing is that that may not be necessary. So yeah, Mrs. Benita's shaking her head. That may not be necessary because it seems like everybody's against this thing. So the recommendation of the committee, the land use committee, is that we do not approve the storage facility. That's the recommendation of the land use committee. So if everybody on the chat, everybody in the community, even the councilman is saying that if that's the case, then we can just take a motion of unanimous consent to not recommend that we approve the storage facility. If that's how everybody feels. If not, we can call a voice vote.
I think the voice has been very strong of the community board members, and I think we should go that route. And a unanimous vote of do not approve.
Okay, so
I second that.
Okay, you don't need to second because it's a motion of unanimous consent. So there's a motion of unanimous consent.
I'm just agreeing with her.
Okay, not a problem, good sir. So there is a motion of unanimous consent that we not approve, take a recommendation of the land use committee and not approve the storage facility. Are there any objections?
The wording has to be changed.
Okay, okay. What's the wording, Mr. Parliamentarian?
The unanimous vote should be they support the decision or the recommendation from the land use. Because what you said was double that we were not against it.
Okay, hang on. I'm seeing something in the chat. So I'm seeing something from city planning.
Yes, Dr. Burke.
Before we take a vote. So, yes, Mr. Lagares. So Mr. Emmanuel Lagares, for those of you that don't know Mr. Emmanuel Lagares, he's from the Department of City Planning. So Mr. Lagares.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Nice to see you guys again. I've been trying to find the button for raising my hand. I even tried once or twice to raise my hand kind of information, but I couldn't find it. But with this project, this is a special permit. And special permits do not automatically go to the city council. That's why it's good that you have your new council member here, because he could bring it to the attention of the city council. What happened here is since the board missed the vote, which was to occur, but we didn't receive a recommendation from the community. The deadline was the 25th of this month. And what that does is that it takes away the triple no from the borough president. Now, the triple no, I know that some of you who were at our training session for Europe last year, you heard a lot about Europe, and I think that point was mentioned. The triple no occurs when the community board is opposed to a project.
Hang on for a second, Mr. Lagares. Hang on for a second. Yes. Okay. If you have your mic open, please close it. Okay. It is very difficult to hear.
Your bug.
Thank you. Continue, Mr. Lagares.
Okay. Thank you. Once again, if the community board, this is the case here, community board is opposed to this project, that's the first no. The borough president's review began 2 days ago. And let's say if the borough president does not approve it, you have your second no. Now, the third no will come in when it comes back to the City Planning Commission, and we present what occurred at the community board and at the borough president's not public hearing meetings regarding their recommendations. So that the third no, if the commission approves this project, even though it disapproved, borough president disapproved, if the commission disapproves, then the borough president president utilizes this power that he has to immediately, I don't want to say the word challenge, but bring it to the attention of the city council. In other words, indicating that something is wrong here. The community board as well as the borough president are opposed to this project and that they should be involved. Again, I say that because it's not automatically reviewed. So again, it's very good that the council member is at this meeting because he can bring this to the attention of the city council.
So can you, for clarity's sake, Mr. Legary, one more time, talk about the triple no? What powers do, if we do this, do we take away from the borough president? And again, I'm glad Councilman Raleigh is here too. So say that one more time for clarity.
Okay. Yeah, with the triple no, the only problem here is that the vote did not occur within the mandated timeframe of 60 days.
Right. Now, let me stop you right there, sir. Then that is because we did not have a meeting in December. So it's you know, that again, so I'm not going to say that the developers were unscrupulous because they've been before us, right? So I'm not going to accuse them of that at all. The submission, we first got notice, I want to say is November the 25th, right? Is when we first got notice. That was after our November meeting. We did not have a meeting in December. We had a committee meeting in December, but we did not have a full board meeting in December. So this is the first full board meeting after the submission. So what I asked my district manager today was Tuesday was the end of the 60-day review process in which the committee voted no. So my question was to Mr. Torres, could that be accepted or substituted in the vote that we were about to take? And the answer, I think, was, well, being honest, he said the answer was no, right? So that was the answer. So it is technically, it's not the board's fault that this is the first meeting because of when the application was submitted or for our review, right? So it was submitted outside of the scope of when we normally met because it was after our November meeting and before our January meeting. So in essence, we were between a rock and a hard place anyway. You know what I mean? So is that the board's fault? And the answer is no. You know what I mean? That's not our fault. Yeah. And again, I'm not going to accuse the developers because they have been clearly, they've been modifying the plans because they've been here before us. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to accuse them of anything nefarious. I'm just saying what the facts are. So those are the facts before us.
Yes, Dr. Burke, it's not my intention to blame anyone. I just want the community board to know that, let's say in the future, when you get another, let's say land use item, you keep this in mind. And I understand there's things that happen and you're unable to meet those deadlines. But regardless of that, the law says the community board is given 60 days. And that's what happened in this case. You weren't able to have your meeting and have your vote within the mandated time frame.
Well, that's not necessarily true because we had 2 land use committee meetings, Mr. Laguerre. So when you say that the community board didn't review it, that's not true.
I'm not.
The community
I'm not
board,
saying,
the
I'm
full
not saying.
board. If you're saying the full board, then yes, that would technically be true.
Right.
But as far as the committee, we had 2 committee meetings. We had an emergency meeting last month when we're not supposed to have meetings. We don't normally have meetings in December, but we had an emergency meeting because of this very issue. Right. And so that was that. And at that point, the rumblings were come back to us, and that which they did. The developers did. And the fact that they're back again, you know, that says a lot about them. And again, we applaud them. So again, it's just this is the way that the clock ran, right? Had we had a meeting last week Thursday instead of this week Thursday, then obviously that would be the case. I think, and again, I don't know if the councilman can comment, I don't know if George can comment, but the community board should not be at fault for when the paperwork was submitted and when it was outside of the scope of our 2 meetings. I think that it's unfair to penalize the residents of this community board and the board itself because, of course, when the paperwork was submitted for our review. Now, that I do think is nefarious, but as I said before, I am not accusing Mr. Tomasetti and his team of that.
Again, the recommendation was not received by city planning in the 60-day period. That's, that's what, again, poses the problem that the BP cannot use the triple no. Now, I'm also saying that the council member can convey what occurred at this meeting. See, you have, in other words, the city council, if I don't inform you of this, the city council might not have elected to review this project. And should the commission have approved it, then the city council, not knowing, would either vote for or against. And again, I don't know how they're going to vote. So that's the difference.
Right. Well, I guess the good thing is that Councilman Raleigh is here, and again,
Exactly.
even though I
And
teach
I
him
will
all
be
the time,
advocating, I will be advocating how the community feels, and definitely, I don't think none of my colleagues will be voting no. Voting for it after I vote no. So I'll definitely be referring to my colleagues, and this is why the process needs to be extended from 60 to at least 90 days, just to give us a little bit of time, because that 60 days is just not enough. So we could kind of see why the 60 days is not enough for this reason right now. So coming up with legislation or resolution to fix that also will definitely be a recommendation that I'm going to push with City Hall.
Right. So again, thank you. Okay, John, you got your hand up, so I'll take your question. But thank you, Councilman Raleigh. As I said before, I feel like we're being penalized for something that's not our fault. That's my opinion. Now, this is not representing the community board. This is me speaking on behalf of the community board. And as I said before, that's why I'm so glad that the councilman is here to hear us speak. Let's hear your thing, John, so we can go.
Dr. Burke, I'm a little annoyed because a couple of years ago we voted to stop these storage facilities coming in our neighborhood. So this should not even be an issue of them coming to us because we voted, and I think a letter was sent to the city council or the planning department or whatever, and we said we don't want no more in this neighborhood. And still we having discussions about having one of these storage facilities again in our neighborhood, and I don't know why.
Well, we're going to call a vote right now because we've already called a vote for the report. So now I need, based on what I'm hearing, nobody wants a storage facility. So that means I need the motion rephrased, Ms. Benitez, if you don't want to make the motion. So Mr. Parliamentarian has made a note that the motion needs to be rephrased.
How do you want me to rephrase it?
Mr. Parliamentarian?
Yes, it should be rephrased that the unanimous vote in favor of the board of the land use committee recommendation not to approve the project.
Okay, what he said.
That's the easy way to do it. You know what? That's the easy way to do it.
That's it.
Any objections?
It'll be recorded. So
there you go. It's recorded. There you go. Any objections? Without objection, so ordered. So we will not be supporting this project. So thank you for the Land Use Committee. And I will say to Attorney Lobel, Attorney Iannotti, and Mr. Thomas Sadie, as I said before, and there's one other gentleman I see too, the architect. I want to acknowledge him too. We appreciate you coming before us, and I could say that Mrs. Bond has said it, and like I said, I definitely echo her sentiments because I still want to talk with you. I'm sure our councilman wants to talk with you because he had ideas that he put in the chat. And as I said before, our second vice chair and Miss Martin, who you can see, Mrs. Martin, Keisha Martin, he waved to them. They're on this force. Okay, so they have an assignment to do. And as I said, I told the second vice chair about this. So he's already reaching out because we want to see the ideas that were proposed, which you incorporated. I'm hoping and praying that we still want to work with you. I know that you're probably pissed off at us right now, and that probably we don't. Well, I say we don't care because we do care. because we care about this community. You know what I mean? We care about this community and we care about the residents in it. And the fact that you've come before us and been willing to work with us, that's better than a lot of other people. So again, I applaud you, and on this community behalf of this community board, I thank you. And I see Councilman Riley shaking his head. So I thank you for that. And I'm hoping and praying that you take us up, though you may be disappointed now, that you be happy when the sun rises in the morning. And with my second vice chair, Mr. Hall, and Mrs. Martin, we're going to do our best to make certain that the sun rises for everybody. So thank you very, very much to your group for coming before us. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for your
Not a
time.
problem. Okay.
Thanks, Chair Berg.
Not a
We
problem.
appreciate it.
So I'm gonna make this quick. The last item for business is the following, which is something that I absolutely hate, but I'm gonna just tell you the process and go for it so we can go. On the agenda, we have the initiation of board expulsion procedures for 3 members. The way that this works is the following. I've already sent letters to those individuals. And like I said, if it wasn't so late, I would actually show you the letter, but I will email a sample to the board so that you can see the letter, a sample that I wrote. So I won't, display it for everybody, a sample of the letter that I wrote to individuals. What happens next is the following. These members, the ones that I'm mentioning, 2 of them have not been to a board meeting in they definitely missed all of 2020, right? So the last time they have possibly been at a board meeting was 2019. One individual was at 3 meetings last year, January, February, and June. All of these individuals have not attended any committee meetings at all, right? That is in violation of our bylaws. And so I began the procedure to initiate removal for these board members. What happens is the following. If you choose, then you vote to begin the proceedings to expel them. And again, this is in the bylaws. So if you go to the bylaws, which are here in our community board handbook, what has to happen is you as a community board have to vote on the resolution. So if you vote on the resolution to remove these members, the next thing that happens is a commission will be formed. That commission can have no less than 3 members and no more than 5 members. So at least a maximum of a 5-member commission to review the response of these particular board members that we're potentially expelling. So in the letter that I wrote to these board members, they have until February 12th to respond to me in writing. If they do not respond in writing, then the committee, if you so choose to have a commission, will automatically recommend to you to vote them out next month. If the board member that's proposed to be expelled does respond, then they have to come before the commission, if you choose to vote for one, to explain why they have not been present at any community board meetings. At that point, the commission will still recommend yes or no, and then next month you will have final vote if you choose to expel these members. But of course, that process starts if you choose to form this commission. So that's the last vote that we need to take for tonight, and then the meeting can be adjourned. Any questions? Yes, sir. Yes, Alfredo.
What's going on? I don't know who these members are. Did they at least reach out to you or George or Urs stating as to why they haven't been on our meetings? I know, like, when some of us do decide not to come or take off, we usually call Ursula or George or yourself, and we let you know of this, and that. I mean, have these particulars reached out to you guys in any way, at least in any ways, to say either by text, email?
After the fact. So you're right. So let me answer that question. Okay. So we would not be here had that been done, right? Because there's a category of absence called excused absence and unexcused absence. So I'm gonna give you a classic example. I'm gonna use Ms. Claude. Ms. Claude, hope you don't mind me using you as an example. Ms. Claude called me one time to say, Dr. Burke, I'm not going to be at a meeting. Well, my thing was, Ms. Claude, you don't have to come because you're not on that committee. right? So even though she's laughing, but it's true. Even though she wasn't on that committee, right? She still called me to say, I'm not going to make it. So that's what I'm saying. But these people have, I'm giving you another example. We had an economic development meeting last week. None of the committee's members showed up. I mean, you were there, Alfredo. None of them showed up. And they did not call Ms. Benitez to let her know that they weren't going to be there, which is absolutely ridiculous, right? And as I told you, I would hold you accountable. And as our district manager says, you have to be accountable and vote these board members out. So to answer your question, I called each of these board members prior to the November meeting, right? I called them prior to the November meeting and told them what was going to happen. I'm like, you need to attend, because if you do not, I have a mandate from the borough president's office to execute X, Y, and Z procedure. The people said, oh, I'm gonna be there, Dr. Burke, I'm gonna be there. I didn't even know, one person said, I didn't even know you the new chairman, right? So for them to say that would suggest that clearly they haven't been coming to meetings, right? So I'm like, fine. So after the fact, after they missed the meeting, then they called Ursula, right? After they missed the meeting. By then it was too late because they'd already missed 3 consecutive meetings, September, October, and November, which automatically, according to the old bylaws, brings them up for expulsion anyway. So I hope that's not a long-winded answer to your question, but that's that. Yes, sir, Ms. Isaac. Hang on, Ursula. Let me get John in and then Ursula.
We shouldn't even be discussing this. We always were having problems forming a quorum to vote on issues. How much times last year we were having a quorum? So this issue with us thinking, we shouldn't even be thinking about it. All right? If we could do it, they could do it. Everybody needs to be accountable and be there. That's that end the line. So you don't really have to go through explaining anything. We're all adults. We know the rules. Let's go to bed.
Ursula?
No, I was just gonna say, can we hurry up? Because there's no heat in this building.
No, I'm ready to go. I'm ready. I mean, if I'm hearing, so do we need is it unanimous consent or do we need a voice vote?
You can do it by unanimous consent.
I'm just saying, because I don't know if any board members, I mean, they may know some of these people and may want to keep them.
Well,
it's unanimous.
It's unanimous. All right. So I need a motion of unanimous consent that we form a commission to begin the proceeding of expelling these board members.
So moved.
Second.
I can't make the motion. I need a motion of unanimous consent. You guys have to make the motion.
I rise to make a motion.
I make the motion. You said something. I said so moved. That's the motion.
All right. There you go. Okay. Any objections? So ordered. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I am done. I apologize that I was trying to get us out of here, but I had no idea we were going to have another land use meeting. I mean, even with the politicians coming in, we were doing pretty good. So I tried, and I think you guys know that. Are there any other business that we need to come before the board?
Just adjournment.
I know. So, but before we adjourn, I want to close out in prayer. So I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All right. Any second? Oh, second. All right. All signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ted James, can you lead us out in prayer, sir? Theodore. Yeah, can you lead us out in prayer?
Heavenly Father, we thank you again. Thank you, God. What we have accomplished, dear Heavenly Father, as we meet, oh God, to fulfill of the people, oh God, that you continue to bless us. Be with us, oh God, our chairman,
we have agreed to conceal and protect you, which we will do to the best of our ability. However, it is essential that you understand that you are not an authority or a speakeasy. This is a convent, a religious order.
Okay, so Ted, we really didn't hear you. Because Dr. Goff had her mic on, but then you kind of soft. So anyway, I think we got it. So on that note, we're out. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank Councilman Raleigh. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, everybody. Thank you for attending.
Bye, everyone.
Listen, have a fantastic George. Thank you very much. I hope that you enjoyed the meeting. I do